Friday night lights. Friday night. Friday night lights. Win. We just came to win. Win. We must protect this house. I'm in a huddle talking to the Hawks. We gonna run it down their throat soon as we get the ball. Come out and fire off the ball. We going on one. My skill position so proficient, break for long runs. Come out running that option. That mean I got the option to keep that or pitch that. Defense they gotta
come out running that option. Words by Jawan G. Wilson. That does our pre-show song, or what intro song. I think we're trying to work on him getting us another intro song. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 6 of Shock Joxx. We've got a guest in here with us, Zach. It is Kevin's cousin. He's going to be joining us today. We got Andre in here as well. Jawan, we don't know where Jawan's at. He may or may not be rolling in here mid-show. Kevin will be in here in just a second. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. This is a big day, big Monday. It's not professional Monday Night Football, but we do have Monday Night Football tonight. It is going to be the national championship game between both Tigers. I don't know if one's a Snow Tiger, one's a Bengal Tiger. They're just Tigers. LSU and Clemson matches up tonight. And we're also going to go over the 4 divisional games that went about Saturday and Sunday this past weekend. Upsets. Some people are upset about how their picks went. Maybe some people who chose a certain team to win the Super Bowl are feeling even more upset today. So we've got a lot to talk about. And if we've got time, we'll dive into what's happening in the world of basketball. Kevin, we got a good show for us, for our listeners today.
Yes, we do. I've got some complaining. You just talk. Oh, here we go. I got some complaining to do. I'll complain about. You said my Saints got knocked out of the playoffs for the 3rd year in a row.
No, I wasn't talking about the Saints.
they've been screwed every year.
Every year.
But you know what? I don't feel bad for them because they got Anthony Davis whenever the Hornets left, so they can just keep that one. But then they decided to get rid of him, so that's on them. Zach Mayhew's in the house today, along with Andre Bush. Like Hunter said, Jawan is missing in action, but that's all right. We've got the folks in here to get it done today. We all watched some football this weekend. College football is tonight, and then and then in just a little bit, we're gonna have a little fun with Zach. I got something prepared for him. Don't know if he's exactly ready for it, but I think he will be. We're gonna start off in the NFL, and we'll talk about our teams in this weekend's games. First of all, Saturday Sports Talk guys this weekend. JP came in last at 1-3. Not a surprise, but last year he was in second, I think. I know he beat Terry last year. I've got the standings in the next room. I'll pull them out for Saturday to go over that. This weekend, Hunter went 2-2. Terry went 2-2. Tom went 3-1, and I went 4-0. And we'll talk about that Saturday when I get to, because I'm gonna have it cut out. I'm gonna cut it out where they were poo-pooing me, Hunter.
Right.
And my because Tom was very disrespectful with it.
Very.
I'm gonna have to definitely cut that one. He also picked Tar Heels to beat App by at least 3 touchdowns this year, and so the Saturday after that we had to listen to the Appalachian Fight song all morning. Zach, pull that mic here to your face there, sir.
All right,
there you go. All right, Zach, what we do when we have a new guest on for the first time, first thing we do is go over their favorite teams.
All right.
So everybody kind of will know exactly who you pull for. Everyone at this table, including Zach now, I guess, is a Tar Heel basketball fan. Most of us kind of pull for, in some capacity, the Charlotte Hornets. Right. Zach and I both have the Hornets gear on today. Mine was more out of, I'm going to get rained on, and my wife took the umbrella. I need a hoodie and a hat, so I matched up this, and I didn't have an umbrella, so that's why I ended up in Hornets gear today. They play tonight. Where was they at tonight, Hunter?
The Hornets?
Denver.
Oh,
that's
so they're going to lose.
Well, they beat the Mavericks.
They did beat the
Mavericks.
They did beat the Mavericks. I don't know. I think the Nuggets are a little bit better than the Mavericks are, just by a little bit, though.
Yeah. Zach's also. All right, Zach, I'll let you introduce the other teams you pull for, college and NFL, NBA, baseball, all that stuff. A little bit.
I do pull for the Panthers. I do like to count on the Panthers. Ready for the regime change. Hopefully, with all the money we paid that guy, something pans out. Atlanta Braves. I'm a Braves fan. This is local. And definitely a Tar Heels fan. And I like the Hornets. Even though we don't have anything with the Hornets going on right now. I still like the old 90s Muggsy with Alonzo and Larry.
Mm-hmm.
And if we was watching racing, I'm the interesting one that likes Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch, not Kyle. Kurt Busch.
Now Kyle does come in our store. Kyle's a pretty nice guy when he does come into the store at Harris Teeter every now and then.
You work up there in Denver, right?
Yeah.
Up at Harris Teeter in Denver. So we want to see Kyle Busch fan. Want to see him shopping for M&Ms. Go up there and check Zach out in the gang. We talked a little bit about the Hornets this past week. Zach, you're here specifically to talk about football this weekend, but we'll touch on the Hornets a little bit. Over the years, been slightly disappointing in the past few years. Them and the Clippers, I think, are the only two teams that's never been to a conference title game.
Yeah.
Or conference finals, not title game. Conference
Right.
finals.
Mm-hmm.
Hornets haven't won a playoff series since before Kemba Walker was here. Did they win one as a Bobcats? Did they ever win one? I don't know if they ever won one series. They've only won 2 series, right?
I think.
I don't think they got any with the Bobcats.
They didn't win one with Wallace. They didn't win one with old Gerald Wallace.
I know the Hornets won the series against Boston, and I think it was 92.
They won 2 series. One the year against Boston when Reggie Lewis passed out.
Yeah.
And then they also won a few years later with when Glenn Rice was there. He did win a series. So Glenn Rice won a series and was the All-Star Game MVP. So you start there with him. So just give you an idea on where they're going. And Zach, only 3 times in NBA history as a point guard led a team in scoring, and that team won the NBA championship. Steph Curry did it once. Isaiah Thomas did it once. And Magic led his team once in scoring in all those titles. The Hornets for the past 8 years have been running Kemba Walker out there leading the team in scoring. They get rid of him, and now we got 2 point guards leading the team in scoring. For years, I've been saying they need wing scoring.
I'll take Glenn Rice today.
You need wing scoring in the NBA, or you're not going to get it done. You can name the best players in the NBA, and it's all none of them are centers, none of them are point guards. You take the 3 or 4 best players. It's Kawhi, LeBron, Durant, Giannis. They're all, and even if you want to put Luka there, is he 5th now? Is he up there yet?
That's what?
As a top player in NBA.
Well, some can make
the argument. 29, 8, and 8.
I was about to say,
it's like
some could make
He's probably leading the league in triple doubles.
Some could make the argument he might be top 5 in the league right now, this year. What he's put on now. Definitely right now.
How tall is he? 6'6"?
6'6".
Yeah.
He looks smaller, but yeah.
So there's your franchise leaders: points, Kemba; rebounds, Emeka Okafor;
that's surprising.
Most assists, of course, Muggsy. And the most minutes, of course, Kemba. People that will say Kemba's the best player, I was like, does that mean Dale Curry's second? Because Glenn Rice, to me, is always the best player they've ever had. You win an MVP, All-Star game, and Michael Jordan's on the court, you've done something. I would say that. Had 2 Rookies of the Years, 4 rookie first teams. Larry Johnson and Emeka Okafor were the Rookies of the Year. All-NBA second teams, Larry Johnson, Glenn Rice. First teams: Kendall Gill, Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, and Emeka Okafor. Kemba never, of course, didn't make rookie first team. All NBA third team. He did make all NBA third team. No first team all NBA players.
Probably the last anything Michael Gilchrist made.
Did he make a team?
Third. He's second team rookie.
All defense. Okay, yeah. On the rookie team, made the second team. Michael Gilchrist. How did that happen?
And I do.
There's only so many people you can draft. Everybody's got to be second.
Well, he made second team. I was about to say, look at his rookie class, though.
All right.
Look at his rookie class. He definitely was a bust.
But look at this. Baron Davis made the All-Star 2002. 8 years later, Gerald Wallace makes the All-Star team. 7 years later, Kemba Walker makes the All-Star team. So in a span of 17 years, we had 3 total All-Stars there in Charlotte. Just, they keep doing the same things over and over, Zach. I just think they need wing scoring. It seems like every draft, everything, we're looking at ball handlers and big men who might be able to shoot. I mean, last year we had 9 lottery picks on the team and didn't make the playoffs, and the Raptors won it with none on their team. So whose fault is it? What's going on? Charlotte Hornets' perspective, you just got to hit your draft picks first, right?
That's our biggest problem. We're not drafting well. You look back last 15 years, our draft's been horrible.
Been bad. They've passed on numerous starts. The start lineup right now, I think, what we looked at the other day, it could be like Kemba, Giannis.
Rudy Gay would be in there.
Bradley Beal would be the 2 guard.
Right.
And then there was one more. Jokic would be the center. If they just drafted right, Zach, that could be their starting lineup.
I mean,
Kemba, Jokic, Giannis, Jokic. I said Jokic.
You could look back at the drafts and see what we missed.
We did the other day, and I don't have the sheet in front of me.
Even the draft that we picked Vonleh up in, we went way high on Vonleh, and look at all the people that we could have hit on with Vonleh draft.
Yeah, the Hornets front office definitely has not been pristine in their ability to judge talent and at least see what the team needs. They never truly fill what the team needs. It's always either a guard or a big man.
Or even in on that, you're looking at Nicholas Batum. He's probably our highest paid player.
He is probably.
He's making $25 million a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And we overpaid for him, and he is a BC player.
Well, the whole team, and I've said for years, I always thought they had, Zach, the best BC team roster in the NBA.
Right.
Like if you took our roster and put, like, say, LeBron or Durant on the team, they'd be pretty good.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because the supporting cast is really averagely good. Like, there's a whole team of 75s.
Yeah, they're like
on the rating level.
They're like that old knife, Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
They're like a Swiss Army knife team with no good player.
Here's the people they passed on for Vonleh, Zach. Zach LaVine, Rodney Hood, T.J. Warren, Nurkic. I can't read my writing there. Bogdanovich, not the big one.
So
the shooting guard. Gary Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Jokic.
Is that Drummond? Andre Drummond right there, maybe? Is that true?
That's Dinwiddie.
Okay.
That's Bogdanovich. Drummond was a different year. He might have been the MKG year. MKG year they passed on for the number 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
That was Drummond. And they picked MKG. Now remember, he's still on the team. We still have yet to get rid of him.
He's still on the team.
Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard,
I think
Harrison
a lot of the
Barnes.
times, he's just a dude that does not play.
Andre Drummond, Austin Rivers, Miles Leonard, Jeremy Lamb, Thomas Robinson, Kendall Marshall, John Henson, Tyler Zeller, Draymond Green, and Chris Middleton. All of those after MKG.
Right.
Zeller.
What number did Zeller go in? Do we know?
Huh?
It would have been a steal with Draymond.
In the second round, it would be. It's what
For anybody.
They dang sure wasn't picking him second overall, but they could have picked him second in the second round.
They tried to make up for that in the draft a couple years ago when they picked the guy from Michigan State.
Are you talking about Miles
Bridges?
I like Miles Bridges, though. I like Miles Bridges. The only problem is he doesn't quite have the 3 shot yet for the position he plays. They run him at, I think he's undersized to play the 4. Yeah. Now, he'd be perfect size for the 3, but the only problem is that he doesn't have that shot. But other than that, defense, fantastic. He's great on defense. He can block shots. He can run the floor excellently. He's very athletic. He can drive the lane and get to the rack with ease. Just in today's game, you got to have a jump shot.
Yeah,
you got to have a jump shot. So if he was able to develop a jump shot, I think he could be a good cornerstone for this team right now.
Right, and we don't even want to go back to was it Adam Morrison draft?
No,
for the Bobcats.
Well, what you need is someone who can get 20 a night. That every single night he's getting 20. Then the rest of us can do something.
Right now, the only one that I'd say could go out there and just get you 20 a night is one of the guards. It would be interchangeable which one's going to get you 20, but between those two, one of them's going to get you 20. The other one might get you 15 as well. The problem is the only one between the two, between Rozier and Devontae Graham, who's actually dishing out assists, is Graham. He's averaging almost 8 assists a game. But even then, to me, what the problem is I've been saying it every time we bring up the Hornets. What's the problem? I think they just don't have the right coach. I don't think Borrego's the answer for Charlotte. I've seen so many times that they're just situationally in the wrong place. They don't have anybody on the floor to match up with somebody. Like, I was looking at the game when they played Toronto here in Charlotte the other night. And the problem I had with it was, so they start Bismack Biyombo. I think we can all sit here and agree Biyombo's extremely undersized to be playing center. He's 6'8". He might have a 7'2" wingspan,
right?
But at the end of the day, you're still 6'8".
I thought they got rid of him.
And guess who went off?
More or less concerns
and
me.
guess who went off for the Toronto
Toronto.
Raptors? Was Serge Ibaka with 23 points.
And that's the only thing that they say that Biyombo's really good at.
His defense and rebounding.
Right.
And guess what? Cody Zeller off the bench out-rebounded him.
And he
outscored him.
Probably eating up $16 million on the salary cap.
So
Baron Davis got to 2. He won 2 playoff series. Won the first round twice. Lost in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Actually made it 3 years, but only won 1 series. The other series was the '98 Hornets.
Coach Paul Silas.
That was Glenn Rice.
Now, that would have been with Anthony Mason too, probably.
Those are the 4 seasons they've made it 4 times.
I did like Mason a good bit.
So they made it 4 times.
That's what Coach. 2 of those.
2 Baron Davis, 1 Glenn Rice, and 1 Larry Johnson. That's when they beat the.
2 of those.
I will tell you
Paul
something. You got
Silas.
those highlighted. Is that 2001, 2000?
2002 is the last time they won a first round playoff series.
The coach Paul Silas, he actually shops in the store too, and he's a super nice guy.
I run into him every now and then when we're doing when we're covering the Hornets games. I'm not name dropping the guy that I know, but he's good friends with Paul Silas.
Very
they live in the
personable,
same.
I still think
facility.
he has some affiliation with the team.
Oh yeah, I see him there a lot.
Yeah,
he might be like an outside advisor.
He's a big guy too.
He is very big.
So,
and
you talk about you talk about coaches. You mentioned coaches. Maybe you did.
Mm-hmm.
And we've never had a named coach other than Larry Brown, I think. And he was very short tenured. 1 year, 1.5,
3.
Was it 3?
Yeah.
Never really.
Those 3. His leaders were Gerald Wallace, Steven Jackson, and that's what Larry was dealing with. And Larry was 74, I think, when they hired him.
Yeah.
You talk about the coaches hunter, and then you get into, say, the NFL, and then we talk about all these coaches being available.
Yeah.
And then the very next thing you know, you're hiring people you've never heard of. So what?
I don't see why more of the college coaches haven't been picked up to go coach in the NBA. Like, I understand where the Hornets went with Borrego, what their mindset was. He's from San Antonio. He worked under Popovich. Maybe he can bring the San Antonio method to Charlotte and have success, but that's not always going to happen because
that's what they were trying to do. Remember, they brought Tony Parker with them the first year.
They brought Tony Parker.
So they're trying to install the offense.
And you can't do that because you don't necessarily have the same players that Popovich has the eye for.
Right.
And he's not Popovich. Even that's the same thing we can say about all these coaches that were underneath, Belichick
That's exactly what I
and
was
Andy
thinking.
Reid and under Nick Saban. It's like, but just because they work under him does not mean they're going to turn into him.
Right.
So I don't think the coaching position is really well for the Hornets, but it's kind of like the same thing for the NFL that I would say about the NBA is why are you not dipping into the college game more? There's coaches out there that have great success. The Gonzaga coach is having unheard of success for a technically mid-major team. They have all sorts of success, have made a couple national championships. I don't see why any team in the NBA has tried to pick him up. They picked up Coach Beeline from Michigan. I know Juwan Howard is there now, but Coach Beeline is ahead of the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're not having a lot of success, but at least he's getting his moment to shine. Because the thing to me is you brought Brad Stevens out, and Boston has looked like they're picking back up to possibly being a chance to be a multiple title team just with how Brad Stevens has taken over. So I don't know. I mean, the John Calipari, I know not many people might be a fan of his, but I don't see why no one's tried to bring him back to the professional game. They keep just grabbing these assistants after these assistants in these systems, and the systems don't always work when you go somewhere else other than where the system was implemented.
Right, and I see, even talking about, college coaches coming in, and they was even talking about, getting onto the football side of it. They was talking about with Sean Payton. He said, he was talking about the football players that are getting these running quarterbacks. He said, listen, this is the style that they're being used to, and this is what we're getting from that.
From college.
Yes, and he said, we have to adapt to what we're getting. He said, because you just can't throw somebody in there that's used to doing this style and try to completely change them. He said, it just doesn't work. He said, so we're having to adapt because of their adapt. So the same thing will be working in the college game. And you look at, you was talking about Coach Calipari, and you can even go back to Patino when they tried to bring him in. I think he came in Boston in '96.
Yeah.
And he was not successful at all. And I don't think Calipari was, to the most part, with the Nets. But you got to look at something else, too, is how long ago was that? 25 years?
Right.
And how much more experience he's got now. So he might hold a little bit more clout with some of the older guys because he is older when he gets in. So they could bring him, back in and see what would happen.
When Calipari was head coach of the Nets, he was young.
Right.
Man, he was really young. I think he was fresh out of the University of Massachusetts, UMass, being their head coach. He was young. He was taking on an NBA team full of guys that might have been older than him, the veterans, or about the same age as him. I know how that can be. They always say it's hard to command a room. I think that's a testament really to how Brad Stevens has been able to do it for as young as he is, coaching all of those veterans and the younger players. So I don't know. I think there's something that Charlotte will have to do. I don't know how much longer Borrego has on his contract. Andre, you got any idea on how long Borrego's probably still going to be around? Yeah. You think maybe they move off of him after a year?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a Hornets fan.
Go ahead.
Who you like, Andre? You a Lakers fan?
Nah, like I told Kevin the other week, when Iverson retired, I retired.
Okay. I know we've been friends
I'm more or less a fan of a game. I go watch, I like to watch the game. It's basketball. Right. I enjoy watching basketball. I ain't really the one that's going to go out and fan gear it up. But I got a couple Hornets hats.
I know we've been friends for a long time, and I don't think I've ever seen you localized on one basketball team. I think I can honestly say that. That's why I was asking. Who do you pull for?
You see who down there on my wall, though?
It's Iverson.
I did see that. Now it's a little figure. Yeah. It's not in the starting lineup. It's probably McFarland.
I had to put him up there.
But Andre, that actually makes this question a little bit easier, though, for me to ask you. Since you're not a diehard Hornets fan and you're just a fan of the game, then what are you seeing from the Hornets and why they just don't have success?
They make terrible decisions. That's all.
Front office wise,
it's so constant. It's like every year. Like, what are you doing? From the players you get rid of to the players you bring in,
right?
That's why I can't deal with it.
Right.
It's even like Kevin. He can jump on this one and me and him had the same feelings about the Dwight Howard letting him go for Mozgov or whatever, and you're sitting here just like shaking your head like, what benefit did that help us at all? You know,
it's not like they traded him for. See, the thing you need in the NBA is value to trade, and you need cap space. If you're not getting cap space on your moves, you're not. If you get rid of a good player, you should either get a draft pick back or cap space.
Right.
And they got rid of a double-double machine who set the franchise record in field goal percentage for Mozgov. And he had 4 years left on his contract. So it was basically, like I said, we did it to make Kemba feel good. And then we got rid of Kemba the very next year.
And two, you're looking at Dwight Howard, he can put butts in seats, just by his who he is.
Yeah, you need three people to win. They had their second one, and then they never added the third one.
And that third one was what you talked about, a wing player.
Yeah, you need a wing player. You had Kemba,
they never have any star power,
and a wing player. Yeah, like who are you going to go? Like you want to give away tickets? Like you want to go see the Hornets? Everyone says, who are they playing?
Exactly right. I know.
Sound like me.
This sounds bad, but when I go to cover the Hornets games, I don't go into the Hornets locker room. It's gonna sound bad, but I go in because one, we don't get to see these guys, but every so often, especially if they're from the West Coast that travel to play against the Hornets. So I like to go and talk to the other team a little bit. But two, it's like I know what I'm getting when I go into the Hornets locker room.
What are we supposed to talk about?
What are we supposed to talk about? Why did you guys blow a 20-point lead or a 10-point lead? Because they lose this in the same fashion every time. They might get close enough to bridge a gap. They might have a 2 to 10 point lead, somewhere varying. They'll go to overtime and lose. It's the same thing every time I see it.
One thing I will bring up, I know we got to get to football probably, but I will bring up, you was talking about leading point guard scores for their team. You mentioned that. And it did surprise me, as good as Magic was, that he actually led the team in scoring, because he was never like over a 20-point score was as talented as that team was.
The only year he led the team, but you got to remember who was on his team too. Kareem.
What year was? So that was a younger, long. Yeah.
When Jabbar was about to retire was the year Magic actually led the team in scoring that year. Was at the end of his
like
career.
86, 87?
88, 89, something like that. So the Pistons were 89, so it might have been 87, 88. So one of those years. That was the year that Magic actually led the team in scoring, because Kareem was a little older than him. I mean, people don't understand. You just threw it to Kareem, skyhook, go down the next court, go down the end of the court.
Right. And I think he was like 37 when he retired, or 38. So
he might have been closer to 40. It was pretty. Oh, Ron Rivera contract. You talk about Matt Rule, 7 years, $65 million. Is that what it was?
Right. It was 7 years.
7 years, $62 million.
7 years. Yeah.
So that's what, $9 million a year, roughly, 8.5,
something like that.
Ron Rivera was averaging $2.8 million a year. He got an extension at $7.5 million a year. His last 2 years were supposed to be $7.5. So, what do you think about these football coaches coming from college getting a 7-year, 60-some-year deal better than Rivera's got as a coach and going to a new team?
I personally like Ron Rivera, and I've seen your stats on his losing season. I understand all that, and I think Rivera would be an outstanding defensive coordinator somewhere. But I do like the way that he carries himself, and I do like the he keeps the team kind of in line. But to give somebody that kind of money right there is just crazy to me.
Not only to give them much money, that's going from commanding the attention of young boys to now you're talking to grown men.
Yeah,
That's a big change.
I agree with you 100%. The same thing we talked about just a minute ago with Calipari going into the Nets locker room, and he had to be,
he was in
20s.
His probably late 20s, early 30s.
And the same thing with this guy, and to give him that kind of money, I think they said the NFC South other teams were irate if they had done that.
I would be irate too if I'm. And now you almost set a precedent for the coaching, the coaching market, because it's like, hey, this not necessarily a no name, but this guy out of college comes in, is getting $9 million a year, and you want me to sign for a measly 3 to 4 years and only getting $2.5 million? And I've been coaching here for, I don't know, at least on the NFL level, 15, 20 years, if not coordinator. So you want me to take a hometown discount?
So Rule got more money before coaching an NFL game than Rivera did after making a Super Bowl.
And what is, have they even posted about Mike McCarthy with the
Dallas?
What did they pay him? Do we know?
They haven't posted.
I didn't think they. I hadn't seen anything on it. But
how do Dallas fans feel if McCarthy gets fired and the Packers make the Super Bowl without McCarthy this year?
Thought about that in the game last night. I didn't know if that was a great hire for Green Bay, and then it looks like they fit together pretty good. But that running game, and we'll probably talk about that more, they got a pretty good running game going on.
Talk about the Packers?
Yeah.
Yeah, he won me some money on FanDuel.
He's so silly. You're so silly.
Hey, I wasn't expecting that. I won about $30.
$30.
Don't call and ask for no money though.
Don't call. Can I get 5 of that?
I'm broke.
I'm broke. I'm broke. I won money, but I'm broke.
All right, guys, let's talk about this weekend's past games. Go over some of what happened. First and foremost, let's talk about the first game of the weekend, which was Baltimore, Tennessee.
No, it was not. That was not the first game.
Was that the second game?
That was the second game.
First game was
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Vikings, San Francisco.
We'll go back to them. Vikings, San Francisco.
Won't hold it over your head too much.
I didn't get to see none of that game.
I watched a little bit of it.
I watched the first half.
Well, my NFL thing is not working. My internet's struggling today. Did it rain too hard?
Is it the storms? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, it might be the storms.
So before Saturday's picks, I told everybody that usually what happens is 3 out of 4 home teams win, 1 blowout.
Right.
We had 3 blowouts and 1 close game.
Yeah.
And what was funny about it is the closest game, the last one, was the one everybody was complaining about, saying, this is boring, I don't want to watch. And that's the closest game. The rest of them were 17, 16, and 20. And then the last game last night, Packers and Seahawks, was 5 points back. So 49ers was that the 7-point favorite in them, or were they 10 in that? They were just 7.
Who?
Wasn't Ravens and Chiefs were 10?
Yeah,
they were 2 10s.
Ravens and Chiefs were 10s.
The 49ers were 7-point favorites, win by 17. Pretty much a dominating performance by the defense, guys. Andre?
Yeah.
You said you didn't see that one, so we'll go. The 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
I seen a little bit of highlights.
Yeah.
So.
It was a competitive. I want to say it was 14-10 at halftime in that game. 49ers and Vikings. And I don't think the Vikings, did they score after halftime?
I don't think they did.
So they got shut down. I guess they just went in and filled. That's another thing, adjusting at halftime. talking about coaching.
Right.
You go in and making adjustments and just shut down somebody, and they got a really good running back for Vikings, and I don't think he really did much.
And see, that's what blew my mind, really, is I know how good of a defense San Francisco has. I've seen it multiple times this year. They're very effective on the front seven. Their back four suspect. They don't really have great DBs outside of Harrison Smith. But on the offensive side of the ball, if you told me who you want, you can have Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Dalvin Cook, and Kyle Rudolph. Or you can have Jimmy Garoppolo, 3 different running backs. All the best ones probably Tevin Coleman, who at one point was a backup in Atlanta. Emmanuel Sanders will be the best wide receiver you have for San Francisco, and George Kittle. Then who do you think offensively should have more firepower?
Right.
And to me, this was coaching. I think not just coaching. I think the defense for the 49ers is just that good, essentially. I think it's a lot better than what it's been ranked. I think it could be the best defense, arguably the best defense that's remaining outside of Kansas City. I think Kansas City's got a great defense. The running backs, though, they run 3 different running backs, and one of them still gets over 100 yards. But every week, you never know which one's going to get over 100 yards.
They got somebody back on the defense. His first name's
K1.
D.
Oh, well, D4.
D4, that's it. And they
back.
said that when he was out, they said they didn't get the pressure that they're getting. He's been out 4 or 5 games, and they said when he came back, they said you could see the difference that he makes. He's super fast.
Yeah, they got D Ford back and Quan Alexander back. They have 2 beasts on the defensive line in DeForest Buckner and probably Defensive Rookie of the Year and arguably Defensive Player of the Year in Nick Bosa.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So this is one of the best stats I heard, is that they have the best numbers when it comes to only sending 4 guys. When it comes to only sending 4 and getting pressure, the best team to do it in the NFL is the San Francisco 49ers.
And if you remember, and Kevin would think about this too, and Andre, we're probably a little bit older, but back in the 90s, you think about the Dallas teams that came through and the 49ers teams that came through. A lot of people don't talk about their defenses as much as they should.
Their defenses are probably the reasons they won.
Right, because, the defensive end that we had for Dallas.
Charles Haley.
That's it, Charles Haley. And he played for the 49ers also. You got Dion interchanging.
He won the championships with Joe Montana. And then he came to Dallas, and then we added Dion after the
95 season, I believe,
wasn't it? After the 49ers knocked us out, we then bought him from them and basically and won the 95 championship. Then we kept him for 5 or 6 years and couldn't get anything done. After that, the rest of the defense started waning, as you think. But yeah, all those defenses. And I made the point the other day, Zach, when we were naming top quarterbacks of all time. When we talked Jim Kelly, I said people don't realize how great that Buffalo Bills defense was.
Probably all one around.
Of the best. That team might be the most They might have been all around more talented than Dallas those first 2 Super Bowls.
You talk about Bruce Smith. That was on the front line.
Bruce Smith, Cornelius Bennett.
They were loaded.
Daryl Motley, wasn't that the center?
Yeah.
The safeties.
I was trying
to
think of DBs.
Steve Tasker was a special teams guy. I mean, their defense was outstanding. There was nothing. The Bills' defense was good. They just messed up in the Super Bowl.
They did.
They couldn't beat the NFC East. Thurman Thomas, how many times he fumbled that first one?
Right, and then they get in there against the Redskins, and I think they lost. Was that the Redskin game that they kicked? They missed a kick. Norwood missed a kick.
That was Giants.
That was Giants. Okay, Giants. So look at that. I mean, you even think back in the day. You're playing NFC East every year. You're playing Giants. You're playing Redskins. You're playing Cowboys in Super Bowl. So they were, Eagles wasn't no pushover with Cunningham.
The Giants Super Bowl. KTC used to have a Super Bowl party.
Yeah, right. I remember.
So I remember the Giants Super Bowl. You remember where we was at? Krause Fish Camp.
Don't remember that one. The one I actually remember is when we had the humongous.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where Dollar General is right now.
Right.
There used to be a fish camp right there.
Right.
Never been there.
They had the very first, Andre, first time I ever had them, grilled chicken tenders. And I could eat like 10 of them when I was 13. I would just get a plate of grilled chicken tenders, like donuts, like Uncle Si doing donuts. They were so good. But I'll never forget it because that was the Super Bowl when he missed the wide right. We had a big screen. We'd rent a big screen. Set it up in there, ran out the restaurant, and it'd be kind of like our Christmas party, but it's a Super Bowl party instead. And I remember there was about 5 to 10 people over in the corner when that Giants went to kick that Super Bowl. All got down on their knees, started praying for the Giants to make that, because all the players on TV were sitting there praying to make the field. So a bunch of fans that were in there, they got it together. Giants fans got together in the corner and sat down.
Would that have been the year that Sims got hurt and Hostetler came in or no?
I think that was the first was Giants. That was the second Giants. That might have been the Hostetler when he came in. You might be right on that. I think it might have been because they didn't win any afterwards.
The one that I remember that y'all did was the Broncos.
That was the last year we did it. Was the kick. That was last year because the very next year the Redskins won it. I remember watching it at Rick Albertson's house.
We did. Y'all did one. And I was young. It was Redskins Broncos. So that would have been 87. 87 because that's when the Broncos just wiped the fields like 51 to 13 or something. But it had the biggest sub I ever seen in my life.
Because I was upset with Dad because we quit doing the Super Bowl games when Dow started winning, so we didn't have any Super Bowl parties with the Cowboys winning. I think he quit doing it because the Redskins made it the next year, and he was, I'm done now. We're not doing any more Redskins Super Bowls. Right. That team was dangerous. You guys introduced the motion offenses before the movement before the plays. I don't know if either one of y'all two remember that, but they used to run 3 and 4 wide receivers out there. They were the first teams that would put people in motion.
Now, we're talking about the 80s or the early 90s, the 91.
I'm talking about the 91 team with Ripien. When they put everybody in, they had the 3 wide receivers, Monk, I think Williams, and
big
Quick.
Running back. What was his name?
Ernest Biner.
Yeah, Biner.
And then they would just they'd spread the ball around. I honestly don't see how Buffalo didn't win the championship. But that offense and that defense, they should have won, but they didn't. All right, let's move on to the next game. This is for all the analytics folks. This is for all the folks, all the fantasy football folks, that if you just don't understand football, is when the NFL gets to the playoffs, you have to play defense and you have to run the football. Now, with that said, Baltimore's, if you close your eyes and I say this quarterback had 300 yards passing, 100 yards running, and the other quarterbacks had 88 yards passing, which one only got 12 points? And they're going to tell you it was the guy with 88. But it didn't matter because his backup threw a touchdown too, Derrick Henry, the running back. The running back ran for 195 and threw for 3 yards and a touchdown. The passing combined for Tennessee was 8 of 15, 91 yards, 3 touchdowns.
That's balling.
Lamar Jackson had 4 times more yards, 508 total yards. He had 4 times more passing yards, 3 less touchdowns. Lamar Jackson had the same number of touchdowns passing as Derrick Henry had.
I don't think
Derrick Henry's such a big boy.
I don't know if the Panthers had 500 total yards all season
in one game. You talk about the whole year.
I'm talking about one game, 500 total yards. He's got it by itself.
So I get on the baseball people about their analytics, and we get over here to football about the analytics. Sometimes you just got to the defense and running wins the football games. The analytics today say don't run. Throw it every time because when you look at the averages, it's Derrick Henry gets 4 yards a carry, the pass gets 7 yards a carry. We should do 7 yards a carry. Well, that's what mathematicians say.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not what football coaches do or say on the field.
Especially when you jump out to a lead.
And they don't take into account, like, if you throw an incomplete pass, well, it's 2nd and 10. If I'd have ran the ball, it's 2nd and 7. So, they don't take all that into account. What did you just say, Andre?
I said, when you jump out to a lead,
right,
running the ball is in your favor.
And that's exactly what I said Saturday, Hunter.
Right. If
Titans go up 10 or 14 to nothing, what will Baltimore do? Because you have to keep running the ball if they're that team. But they ran. Look at this. This is where they messed up, I think. They let Lamar run it 20 times and Ingram only 6.
Ingram was hurt.
Yeah.
I think that really hurt
running back.
Baltimore.
You think the running back?
I think that hurt Baltimore.
He was having some calf problems because he had a machine on his leg.
What I was trying to explain to Zach, I don't know if either one of y'all was in there, is every time the quarterback keeps the ball, that's a run, yeah. But it's also a run the running back don't get it.
Right.
So Ingram and Edwards are trained to run the ball and run through the holes, and that's what they do. They got 9 carries, and the quarterback got 20. I don't know how many of those were keeping it off reading the end. That might be him. That might be the way the defense forced it, because you could send your end or your linebacker to force it.
I love the fact that you brought up as well. They like to talk about how you don't need to run the football anymore.
Right.
They always want you to throw it, and And when I play, Madden, or if I play NCAA, I love having a great run game because I think it's great if I can just run the clock out.
It's disheartening,
but
you
want to
can't
know
stop
what's
a run.
funny?
It really
is. Two out of the 4 teams left had the second and third best run games in the NFL. The San Francisco 49ers were second. The Tennessee Titans were third.
Well, you look at ball control.
Titans got run over technically. If you look at Jackson's run, I mean, look at the look at Baltimore's 300 yards passing,
right,
100 yards receiving, receivers. Wrong mouse. Had one receiver with 100 yards, and then just.
I mean, I'll say
12 points
this to me.
Yeah,
12 points.
This just was a rest versus rust game. I think the Baltimore Ravens had too much rest and it turned into rust because they didn't let any of the starters play in Week 16. So
Andre, they laughed. Tom was sitting in that seat and laughed at me when I said because not only did they have 1 week off, they had 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
So as running the game, the exact words I just used, rhythm quarterback, I said to run the ball on the football field, you have to have practice and reps. It's about timing. I mean, Barry Sanders can run through that line, but if nobody blocked anybody when he gets there, he's going to get tackled. And you got to give the line credit on that. If they get to their spots and you follow your blocks, it is really tough to tackle Derrick Henry. I mean, come on. If he's following his blocks, like he's by himself, you can dive at his ankles. But if he's following blocks, you got to deal with a 300-pounder and this dude.
Now, one thing I would ask, for all y'all thinking about this too, me and my father-in-law talked about this, is how much momentum did the Titans carry over from that Patriots win, going into Foxborough, winning that game and bringing it over, plus them being tired. We've seen the Giants go in at 10-6 and 9-7, I believe, and win a Super Bowl just because they're clicking at the right time. And the Titans, with the style that they play, I'll always be what they call a traditionalist, where I like to line up 2 tight ends and I like to put the running backs in the back and follow your blocks and ball control and have a good defense. And I think the Titans are setting up really good for that. I think they're going to have their hands completely full against Kansas City.
And that's the only reason why I wouldn't put the Titans in the Super Bowl right now.
Because that offense.
Lamar had 79 attempts at stuff yesterday.
See, and that's
I was going to ask you how many.
That's what I think the problem was.
20 carries, 59 runs.
That's what I think the problem was. They got away. I know that the Titans got to a lead early, but the Ravens panicked, and they got away from what worked, and they stopped feeding the running backs. Look, Gus Edwards, running back, only had 3 attempts. The running backs alone only had 9 attempts.
They couldn't.
And meanwhile, Lamar Jackson had 20.
Do nothing.
So, they got away from it.
You look at 20 carries for Lamar Jackson. How many of those carries were drop back passes that he made into a run?
Oh,
so
he
how
had
many times
to. He was running for his life. He was getting harassed back there.
So they were calling a 80% pass game, if that makes sense, and that's just not their style.
Well, I'll say this: that might have not been the best game for the Ravens, and unfortunately, it came at the worst time in the playoffs. But Lamar Jackson's still special. I don't put this really on Lamar's shoulders. I put this on the Ravens' shoulders as a whole. How they called the game after things started to go south. But I'll give all the credit in the world to the Tennessee Titans and Mike Vrabel and how his defense stepped up and played great. They played the read option perfect. And then not only that, Henry right now is the best thing to watch on television.
And it's the playoffs.
He's the best thing to watch on
television. It's the playoffs. Your playbook changes in the playoffs.
It does. And
the whole mentality changes. And Taylor Lewan, that's a hell of a tackle. All you gotta do is run off that man.
Yeah.
You get yards all day. I've been watching the Titans all year, and from about the second half of the season, Derrick Henry has been on a tear.
And even Kevin mentioned this too, is when you get into the playoffs, and you let's combine what you just said with what he said, that your play calling changes, and then Kevin says that the defense you're coming up against, they're going to be more elite. Mm-hmm. And I'd actually, when y'all was talking about it, at the very beginning, when everybody went on the Saints, said the Saints can win, and so this is going to be, and they didn't win that weekend, I would have picked the Saints. But my Super Bowl pick was the 49ers and the Ravens. I'm really surprised that the Ravens laid the big of egg as they did, 14-2.
I think that's what surprises a lot of people is, okay, so the Titans scored 28. I think they can do that. But the fact that Baltimore only scored 12.
On averaging 33, I think.
It's what's so strange.
Once they changed quarterbacks from Mariota to Tannehill, They averaged for like 12 points to 31.
They went
points
2-3 under Mariota. Then they won the rest of their games. They went 7-4.
Yeah.
7-4 with Tannehill, and now they've got their two probably biggest wins in franchise history, and technically people will say dethroning the dynasty in New England, and then stopping the one-man wrecking crew of the Baltimore Ravens and MVP Lamar Jackson. Now they have probably just as big of a game than the first two, playing against, arguably going to be the best quarterback for the next 10 years in Patrick Mahomes. And to me, I'll touch on it in a minute, the most explosive offense the NFL has seen.
Yeah, but I tell you what, let the Titans get up 21 points. Ain't no way.
Right. No, there's no way.
They're not coming back.
But like you said, though, when they was playing, the running game for the Texans yesterday is not the running game that the Titans would have. If they had that running game, that game would have been sewed up. Because, number two, the Titans' defense is better than the Texans' defense. So that would have been a sewed-up game. And what you're talking about that Kansas City game, nobody wants to go play in Kansas City because that place just it's like a dome. And they were quiet. And as soon as that kickoff return, y'all remember the kickoff return that the guy got, that gave him life. And once that happened, man, it was a floodgate.
Man, nobody want to go play in any of that cold weather.
No. No, Seattle froze up.
I would have went right back in the locker room. I got ankles and everything hurting. 22 degrees. Come on, man.
Is that what it was in Kansas City yesterday?
Yeah, 22 degrees.
I don't know what it was in Green Bay. I know they said it was really cold in Green Bay.
It was 13 when they started the pregame show.
No.
And then when 22.
Nope.
It warmed up to 22.
The area that we were in yesterday was almost in the 70s, and then it's almost 20 to the teens everywhere else that football was being played.
And like Kevin said, we talked about this before. It's basketball and football. Everything kind of comes in waves. And right now in basketball, it's drive, kick out, and in football, it is high-powered offenses. But if you can ball control, and I told that to my father-in-law before the game started, if Titans can ball control this game, get some turnovers. They got 3 turnovers plus 2 4-and-outs, and 2 4-and-outs is basically 2 more turnovers. They got 5 turnovers, so that was your game. And I think they said that they had 14 points off turnovers. So there's your difference on your score right there.
Well, I know my pick's already a bust for the Super Bowl, so now I'm going to bandwagon with the Titans.
Hey, I wouldn't hurt my feelings to see them get in it. I hope they really do good against Kansas City.
I picked Kansas City, New Orleans once. The season started, I had Patriots and New Orleans.
We had the same pick.
When the Patriots got knocked out, I tell you what, when the Patriots got knocked to the 3 seed that Saturday morning, I changed and I picked San Francisco. Put it on the 4 shot.
I'm trying.
I know which one it is. Yeah, I got them all listed over there on a different screen. So right now, my Chiefs are still available. Of course, New Orleans isn't. Looking at the defense of Saturday, this weekend's games, all 4. I'll say the best passers / most pocket passer quarterback in each game won. I don't know if you want to consider Tannehill a better passer than Lamar, but he's a more pocket passer definitely than Lamar on that.
He definitely recognizes coverage better than Lamar.
Right, and I think Mahomes is the best in the business. This is not nothing against Watson. He scored 31 points yesterday and lost. I mean, what in the playoffs? If Watson would have beat every team yesterday in the playoffs but the Chiefs. He outscored every team in the playoffs yesterday in this weekend's game but the Chiefs, and that's the team that they played against.
Well, technically, Houston's defense not even Houston's defense. We'll go ahead and get to the Chiefs-Texans games right now. To me, the Chiefs came out and were just able to do what the Ravens weren't able to do and overcome the rust. The Chiefs looked horrible. Nobody could catch a pass early from Patrick Mahomes, and it's not like he was throwing it behind him or bad passes. He was hitting them in the hands.
Just think if he'd have hit him in the first quarter.
I think it was score been. It was 4 drops in the first quarter.
And then the special teams came up big for the Texans twice. They had the blocked punt, and then they had a gimme when Tyreek Hill drops a punt return.
They
had a gimme.
They both had one. They had one apiece.
I thought the game was over.
Listen, I'll sit here and I'll say that when he dropped that punt return, I threw my phone. I was watching it on my phone. And I threw it into the seat.
Yeah, I shook my head too. I was like, "Come on now."
Yeah. Why was he even fielding the ball? Because it was on the 5. Why would he just?
They stuck him back there to field it. They wanted him to return it. So
they did, and it reminded me.
They're
of the
down
days
24-0.
When we would throw Steve Smith back there in the back,
17-0,
for a special play. But if he's not used to fielding, that ball's different.
The most important thing is catching that punt.
The way that it's
now he field punts throughout the season though.
I think they said he had 4 this year.
Yeah.
On the telecast.
I know Hartman do most of the kickoff returns.
Tyreek Hill was their punt return guy. Last year they drafted Mecole Hardman this past draft.
I know he did.
Man, he's done most of the punt returns for them this year.
I wonder if that's the boy that got the kick return that got him started.
It is.
They said they drafted somebody that was very similar to Hill, and he was fast.
Yeah. Hardman was the one. Hardman came out of the University of Georgia.
He's fast.
He is super fast.
He's
really fast.
They were up 24-0. Yeah. They didn't lose at the end of the game.
They lost in the
They were getting beat by halftime.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
that was
that's
amazing.
not even. Listen, I'm going to tell y'all what I did. It got 24-0. Me and the kids went and got on a go-kart.
Right.
And drove around in the backyard.
Right.
I come back, it was 24-21. I was like, are y'all kidding me? And I just sat down and watched the rest of it. But
Patrick Mahomes is a different
How bad a coach do you have to be to lose a 24-point lead in a half?
See,
no, wait a minute. Let me pick
it was less than a quarter.
It was less than a quarter because it was 24-0, and they had 21 in the nothing in the first quarter.
He scored 28 in the second quarter.
So he blew a 24-0 lead basically in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
because they scored like 3 touchdowns in less than 2 minutes. 3 minutes.
The first one was a kick return, a pass.
This is why, to me, the Kansas City Chiefs, this year's Kansas City Chiefs, to me, should go down as one of the greatest offensive powerhouses we've ever seen. They had 7 consecutive offensive possessions that ended in a touchdown. They went 7 straight offensive possessions with a touchdown.
And what other
team in the NFL can go down 24-0 and come back?
If they
nobody.
If they play the Packers, they'll win. If they play for the 49ers, they're going to lose.
Say the first team
the defense always wins. Pick the best defense.
And a home.
And I'm talking about in the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
What happened last year?
You're talking about Super Bowl. Okay.
What happened last year? 3 points the Rams got.
Right.
That's it.
But we can't sit here. We can't sit here and knock the Kansas City Chiefs off or defense though. They're 7th.
They've
been different. They've been a different animal this year.
They got 31 though. 24 in the first quarter, or 21 in the first.
I think 21 in the first quarter.
Shut out.
21 in the first quarter after being off for like 2 weeks.
But I think they got put in bad
7
positions too, though, on some of those.
I think the NFL wants Packers and Chiefs to make all their promo videos, but I got a feeling it's going to be 49ers and Chiefs.
I want to see 49ers.
I think the 49ers could win, but I don't like the 49ers at all, really. Think about this. Belichick got rid of Garoppolo. He's still alive.
Yeah.
Miami got rid of Tannehill.
He's still alive.
he knocked out in back-to-back weeks. Tannehill knocked out the GOAT and the regular season MVP.
Yeah.
And then if he beats the Chiefs this week,
last year's MVP,
and I'm gonna bet the high-scoring offense. And get this: if Tannehill wins against the Chiefs. Zach, this is for you. He'll tie Cam Newton with postseason wins this year.
Yep.
This year. He would tie Cam Newton's career total of 3 playoff wins this year if Tannehill can beat the Chiefs.
I know how a layoff can be, too. You know, you're talking about Baltimore coming out flat. I remember when we were in the playoffs, Panthers, I think we were 12-4. It might have been the 2 seed, had the bye and went in against Arizona and just started throwing the football. And we was a running team, and it was raining. I'll never forget it. Couldn't get out of there fast enough. Come out flat. I was shaking my head because you're throwing the football, and you're 2 great running backs.
What I've seen, Patrick Mahomes, he's going to run this league for maybe the next 10 years. Because I want you to think about it. Most of the guys that are playing with him on the offensive side of the ball are young. They are young. Tyreek Hill, young. Travis Kelce, young. Mecole Hardman, rookie. They are young. Even Sammy Watkins. We forget Sammy Watkins was drafted by the Buffalo Bills and almost died there. Okay, because they weren't using him at all, and they didn't have the quarterback that they do now that can really throw him the ball. Then he went and had his little stint with the Rams. They didn't really use him, and now he's in Kansas City. And this is just toys galore. If Patrick Mahomes was a 5-year-old, he's the most spoiled 5-year-old on the planet because his daddy, Andy Reid's gotten him every toy in the world.
They did dodge a huge bullet with him in the season with that knee because that looked nasty. And it's amazing to me that wasn't a worse injury than that was. If he can stay away from the injury bug, he's got a really, really, really good arm, and he can throw from different places.
I could see Kansas City winning multiple Super Bowls within the next 6 years.
And if they can start on their defense,
the only team that would rival Kansas City is not even in the AFC to me. It would be what Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers are doing in the NFC.
Once they come up against that defense, I think it's going to be. I really don't think Kansas City is winning that.
I can tell you who it's not going to be. It's not going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Man, when Jameis stopped throwing interceptions, we taking off because he balling. Check his stat.
I don't think Kansas City will win it. I think if they come up against the 49ers, I think they're going to have their hands full with that defense.
I don't know. So Kansas City was my Super Bowl pick before the season started just because of what I saw them do last year, and the only reason they got screwed out of the championship game and Super Bowl was because they didn't win the coin flip. They never got a chance to, answer back to Tom Brady and that drive in the overtime.
But the Titans already beat Kansas City.
They did beat Kansas City.
They already beat them one time. So
they did, but it was in Tennessee though, if I'm not mistaken. It was not in Kansas City.
Yeah, that weather gonna be rough.
The weather is going to be
But once
really
again,
rough.
You got a bruiser running the ball.
You do.
That is solely to your advantage.
You do. And here's what I get what a lot of people are saying about. You've got the bruiser. You control clock, but Patrick Mahomes in this offense can score in less than 45 seconds. All it takes is one guy to get wide open, and he's going to hit him on a 70-yard bomb.
But the Titans got receivers too. I can't explain the 88 yards and that 78, but
that's the guy right
there. They
have
receivers right there.
The AJ, I like AJ.
They don't have to pass the ball.
I'm just saying, and I get it. Trust me, I understand clock control and ball control on the ground. But that's why I say this might be the most explosive offense. Everybody was talking about the 2007. Well, not just the Rams, but the Randy Moss years with the Patriots. How that team was just blowing people out. This team,
they were undefeated.
They are so explosive. They are ridiculously explosive.
I think you talking about them being undefeated and got beat. I think the Achilles heel for that team that year was they played the Giants in the last game of the season. And Tom Coughlin, I think he's a really good coach. I think he got a blueprint of what he wanted to do, and I think he executed it when he went there against New England.
Zach, if you're going to guess, as a Panthers fan, how many quarterbacks have won a playoff game since Cam last won a playoff game?
How many total quarterbacks?
How many total quarterbacks? Different quarterbacks.
2015 was our last.
2015.
32. No, I'm just playing.
You're closer than you think. Wow. It's about everybody. It's about everybody but Jameis Winston.
How many teams?
There's no Redskin on here either.
16 teams a year start, right? The playoffs.
12.
Okay, I'm off on that. So 12 times, and that's been 4 years.
Yeah.
48.
That's 20. 12
say
times 4 is 28.
I'm gonna say
48.
22.
21.
Okay.
21 different quarterbacks have won a playoff game since Cam Newton last won a playoff game. Brady's won 8, Nick Foles 4, Matt Ryan 3, Roethlisberger 2, Aaron Rodgers 3, Bortles 2, Breeze 2, Mahomes 2, Tannehill 2. Here's everybody who's won 1. Mariota, Osweiler, Peyton Manning, Case Keenum, Andrew Luck, Dak Prescott, Phillip Rivers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Garoppolo, and Cousins. Wilson won 2, actually. I forgot to put his second one on here.
The Kansas City-Tennessee matchup that's coming up, Kansas City lost this game by 3. You want to know what the quarterback matchup was? Ryan Tannehill was 13 for 19, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes was 36 for 50, 446 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But what was the difference? The difference maker was obviously a field goal at the end because it was only 3 points. But Derrick Henry had 23 carries for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns.
What I've seen off your stats right there is
188 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I think if you're throwing the ball, that's what I was fixing to go with. You said 52 attempts or something. That's throwing the ball too much, in my opinion. And maybe I'm old school. I think you got to run the ball more.
What was his completions? What was it?
30-something?
36 for 50.
So 14 times were plays of 0.
Right.
14 times you got nothing.
Right.
So that's 14. What if you did carries 14 times?
They had a running back
by 3 yards a carry. That's 50 yards.
Not to mention the time that comes off.
Damian Williams.
That was the next thing.
Damian Williams did carry the ball 20 times for Kansas City.
Is the clock stopped 14 times as well too?
Yeah. And that's where you go back with what Andre's saying about Tennessee is that's why I call me an old school guy. I like the way that they set up and play. That's just the style I like to watch.
I like running the ball. Yeah. I do. But you mean to tell me you only beat this Kansas City Chiefs team by 3 points? And Tannehill only threw for 180 yards. While Mahomes threw for almost 450.
But his performance didn't translate to, and it goes back to the Lamar Jackson thing. 500 yards. So far, what I've seen out of Tannehill is he can't throw for 100 yards yet in his playoffs.
It don't matter.
I agree with that.
They win.
I think Kevin even looked up the stats on these run pass quarterbacks that have never. I think Steve Young is about the only run pass quarterback. Russell Wilson. And I don't consider him basically a run pass guy as much as I would these other guys. I think
he is a run if need to.
Who did they beat in the Super Bowl?
They beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl.
Was it the Broncos?
Yes, they won. They beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl. Lost the next year to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So who would have been the quarterback of that Broncos team then?
Peyton Manning.
Peyton. He lost 1-1.
Forgot about that. Yep.
He lost to Wilson.
You're right. I forgot about that.
Cam. That was Peyton Manning's one victory in this. In the 21 quarterbacks.
You had 500 total, 503 or 8 total yards that he had last week, and it just didn't translate to points.
No, and then we can all close our eyes, and I'll say this. Hunter, who's better quarterback, Lamar Jackson or Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So everyone you ask that will say Lamar Jackson.
Right.
And then I'll come and say Tannehill has 2 playoff victories. Lamar Jackson is 0-2. Tannehill beat Lamar. So Tannehill must be better than, right? But that's not how it works.
Right.
But if Lamar would have won, we'd be like, Tannehill can't beat Lamar. That's what the saying would have been, right?
That's what I said. I said if you want to ask me and I'll admit it, I trusted Lamar Jackson more than I trusted Ryan Tannehill.
Right.
Which is nothing bad. And that's what I'm saying. And if you look back, because you can't just blindly say that. I looked back throughout the season, and who's had the better season? Obviously, it's been Lamar. I did not think they would come out here and forget how to play Ravens football. I didn't. And Lamar Jackson still had good numbers. Obviously, the 2 interceptions hurt him, but he was just trying to make plays. That's why they asked him to throw the ball 50 times.
There is one quarter. You got Steve Young that won, but you also got Randall Cunningham, and that team that they lost when he was quarterback, I believe it was the Vikings team, had Chris Carter and Randy Moss on it. They should not have. They should have won a championship that year. And I think that would have been one that would have fell in. And I wish it would have, because I'm a huge Randall Cunningham fan.
Right. He's still the all-time leading rusher for quarterbacks. In the Super Bowl, talk about is Wilson a running quarterback. In the Super Bowl against Denver that he won, he only had 3 carries for 26 yards. So they didn't really run it. I mean, he threw it 25 times that game.
I think
Lynch had 15 carries.
I think Russell Wilson is highly intelligent. That's if I would say anything about Russell Wilson, because he's so small, he can make a lot of stuff happen. I think mentally he is very, very.
He looks just like a shortstop out there playing quarterback.
But he was a baseball player. I wonder what he played in baseball.
He played infield. He's a second baseman, shortstop.
I could see that.
So that's what he looks like to me. He just looks like an infielder playing quarterback out there. He can run a little bit. He can throw a little bit. Can't do everything. He's not a 10 at everything, but he's an 8 or 9 at about everything.
Wonder if that had any the Arizona Cardinals seeing him every year. Wonder if they had a lot to play in with them taking Kyler Murray.
Well, that was the coach too. That was his college coach. That was a little bit of that. It's just tough to win running the quarterback running the ball. Peyton Manning had 1 carry in that game, no yards. You was wondering. about his rushing stats. All right, finally, Seahawks and Packers. Let's finish it up with them. He's just talking about Russell Wilson. We'll get into it with him. 1-1 in the Super Bowls. He has won 2 playoff games since the Panthers last won theirs. He do what? Do I have that stat?
I was laughing too.
Oh, I'm just trying to give everybody perspective. Like it's been 4 years. It's gonna be 5 years when the playoffs start this year since Panthers last was in the playoffs. People don't think like that, dude. You ask anybody on the street. Well, it's been a while.
MVP season.
MVP was just a few years ago. Yeah, 5.
Time flies.
I mean, it's
insane
when
you're having fun.
Well, here's another thing to think about. Okay, Romo only really played 8 seasons. In Dallas, started 8 seasons. Del Holm only started 7 seasons in Carolina. This is Cam's 9th year. Like, this isn't. It's near the end of a regular quarterback rotation. Usually, when you draft quarterback number 1, you want to say, "I want 10 years of him." Well, you're looking at 9th year. Dak Prescott, he's already went through 4 years, y'all. He's halfway through, and we're thinking about all these years down the line. No, he's halfway through. You can only count. I would say count 10, and then you're lucky if you get more. You're lucky if you get Rodgers, Breeze, and Brady, and Roethlisberger. But everybody else, it's 10 or less.
I'm about 90% sure that Romo's first starting game was against the Panthers.
I'm not. I don't know.
I do
not know that.
I remember when he came in and they were talking about we got this new quarterback, and I was like, okay, we're gonna win this game. We lost.
Did you see the stat on old Josh McCown, Arizona Cardinals? He gave Emmett his last touchdown handoff, and he also threw Larry Fitzgerald's first touchdown pass. Josh McCown. The great, the legendary.
The legend.
Would that have been like 03, maybe? 03, probably?
It was something like that. I mean, it's a long time ago. But yeah, Josh McCown gave them both.
I did want to bring up something while we're in here. Y'all did the football thing on the running backs a while back, right? And y'all was ranking them.
No, we ranked the quarter. We were.
Did y'all not talk about? Y'all talked about Barry Sanders. I remember that.
I did. I have an overrated, underrated segment. I went overrated on Barry. I read Sal Palantonio. I just sat here and read Sal Palantonio's article. And
my question to y'all guys would be, what would you say about Frank Gore?
He snuck in there.
Durable.
he's been durable. And you know what? I think he was a nicked up person when he came out. They were saying he had some. I think he had a knee issue.
That's another University of Miami Bulldog.
Yeah,
that's what it is. He just has lasted for so long.
Made me think. Y'all was talking about it. I was thinking Frank Gore in my mind. He's what? Is he 3rd now?
He's 3rd.
Yeah, if you play long enough, you're gonna get stats.
Absolutely, I agree.
He's in his 20th season.
I agree.
Yeah, he's been playing 20 years.
He's pulled up some of his yards.
He's pushing his career.
He was was it Indianapolis? He had some stud years. Was it Indianapolis he played for? He did not play
for San Francisco for a while.
But I know he was
he had
stickler for the fantasy on me a couple years.
Give you an idea on Frank Gore. He's had 11,000-yard seasons. I think that's right. Let me count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, 9,000-yard seasons. Got that wrong. Barry Sanders had 9,000-yard seasons, but it was every one in his career. He played 9 years, had 9,000-yard seasons. Frank also had a 600, a 800, 1, 2 900s, a 7, and a 5. So he's had 4, 5, 6 other years more than Barry, and that didn't get that. Now, Emmett, give you an idea, he had 11 straight years of 1,000 yards. So Barry had 9 out of 9 in his career, but Emmett still had 11 straight 1,000-yard career. Emmett's first year and his last year, he had the exact same number of yards.
He hadn't played 20 years.
It was like 9.
He played 14 seasons.
So
he's played
15.
Well, going into 15.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But it all goes back to durability. I agree with what you said there, Andre. I just think he kind of goes under the radar. Maybe you said that. He just slid under the radar and
good but durable. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Bettis made it up. It made it up on the list. Curtis Martin made it up on the list. But look at this: 937, 975.
Who's this? Emmett?
Emmett's first year had 937. His last year in Dallas, he had 937. Exact same number of yards.
I asked my money back.
Huh?
What? I asked my money back. So you telling me, are you getting the same amount as when you first came in?
That's pretty good. 15 years.
Hey,
later.
give me my jersey and my money back.
15 years.
But if you look at Emmett, he's popping some big numbers in there. You talk about 1,000-yard season. He almost hit 2,000 a couple times.
He had 11 straight years of 1,000. On each end of that is a 975 and a 937.
That
so almost 13 straight years of 1,000.
When I look at my checkbook, the only thing I see in my head is 937. That's what he came in here with.
1, 2, 3. He led the league in rushing 4 years against Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders had 4 years rushing against him. They both had 4 years leading the league in rushing. Touchdowns, though, Emmett blew Barry out of the water with that.
Didn't he play with the Cardinals?
He's still second all time?
Yeah, he played. Who? Emmett's first
all time. I thought it was Jerry Rice was for some reason.
Jerry may have the most total touchdowns by a few. What'd you say, Andre? What was about his last year?
So he didn't play with the Cardinals?
Yeah.
Is that where that 937 come in?
Yeah. That was 937 with the Cardinals.
Okay.
That should have been like 1,500 for the Cardinals then.
I wouldn't be mad. That wouldn't be on my checkbook.
That was 937 with the Cardinals. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So back to Seahawks and Packers. Any other comments, suggestions, notes on that, guys?
Nope. See how the game?
I just wanted to have y'all's opinion on it. I thought it was interesting. When y'all was talking about it, he just passed. It's what happened. Made me think about him.
Right. All-time touchdown leaders. All right. So that's it for that. All right. So we're going to take a quick break away from football before we get into the national championship game predictions real quick. I got something special for
Seattle
Zach.
and Green Bay?
That's what we were just talking about. I said, you got anything else? You said no.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
that.
It was Seattle, Green Bay. Y'all got anything else left for Seattle, and Green Bay?
I think, though, you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss the end of the game, do you?
Yeah, that game was pretty decisive.
Where they was trying to say that he was first down.
He was definitely short of the first
short.
down.
Definitely short.
And I just, between that and the Vikings push off, I don't understand if we're supposed to be reviewing, review. If we're not going to review, don't. That's
I thought
fine.
they don't review within 2 minutes, though.
What are you talking about?
Or no, they don't challenge within
Right.
2 minutes.
The coach can't challenge. The booth
review.
is supposed to automatically review everything.
Right. And then if we're saying that, didn't the Saints get the shaft on both ends of the year last year and this year?
Yeah.
Then wouldn't it be they was on both ends of the spectrum?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they on defense and offense.
I don't understand the spot on that call. And that, I'm not going to say it cost them the game or anything like that, but maybe Seattle shouldn't have punted on the series before. Maybe on 3rd and 4, you shouldn't give up a sack. Like, how is there not a slant available in 3rd and 4? Like, the first thing you should do on 3rd and 4 is 1-2 is the slant there, pop it if it's not, and if it's not, then drop back. He took 3 or 4 steps and then got hit. Like, what do you do? I didn't even know what they were doing on that. But Graham was obviously tackled before the 35-yard line. He needed to get to 36 to get the first down, but he was tackled I think he was tackled right almost on the first down marker. But they put the ball at the 34. That referee come in and put it past the 35-yard line. And then they were reviewed. I thought for sure they're at least going to move the ball back and then measure. And they didn't even do anything.
They're trying to get their bonus. You can't get your bonus fixing your mistake.
I did notice something in that game. How many 7-step drops that Rodgers was taking? He's pretty deadly when he goes into a 7-step. He, way off the line. I was surprised that when he went back, somebody was fixing to get burnt.
Here's your all-time scoring leaders, Zach. Jerry Rice is first, Emmett second, Tomlinson third, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Marcus Allen, Marshall Faulk, Chris Carter, Marvin, I didn't shoot anyone, Harrison, and Jim Brown 10th.
Terrell Owens on there. He's the one that always gets the bad end of the stick, and he was always performed.
Green Bay beat a diminished Seattle Seahawks team by only 5 points. Seattle couldn't even run the ball to save their life, and they only lost by 5 points.
In Green Bay.
Green Bay, and this is what I'm not saying anything bad about the Packers. I'm trying to build up Seattle. Like, Russell Wilson
quarterback
is
led him in rushing, and they lost.
But he was running for his life.
It really was.
That was sad. I mean,
Aaron Jones didn't even have that fantastic of a game other than the 2 touchdowns.
Are you saying someone needs to block, Andre?
No.
Are you saying somebody needs to block?
It's a difference between, but his situation was he didn't know where he's want to go with that ball. You can't sit back there that long. What your offensive line supposed to do?
No, there was this time when I saw they brought a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson. I think it was early in the fourth quarter, and Russell Wilson, to me, if you're a quarterback and you've got, that mental clock in your brain, you're counting the seconds, you're like, okay, nobody's open. I was like, look, Russell, why have you not moved yet? The line is blocking for as long as they can. You've got so many lanes in front of you, you can use your legs and be dangerous. And then, obviously, he tried to go forward a little too late, and they sacked him for a loss. And here's the thing. They showed the replay, and I counted. And I got to 5 seconds, and I was like, okay, let's start moving. No. I went 6, 7, 8 seconds. I understand you want to throw the ball and try and move it down the field, but after 8 seconds, if nobody's open, you just got to take after 5.
And somebody was open. Somebody was open every time. I was looking at the screen just watching it. Like, it was a couple of times he scrambled, but Lockett was already cutting. Metcalf was cutting. I don't even know what he was looking at back there.
Listen to these armchair quarterbacks.
I'm just saying. That's the reason you shouldn't already threw that football. Nobody should have the ball in their hand that long.
There's a difference between people being open and one being able to see. 2.
Well, he still got the ball in his hand. He should see something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he needed to sit there and throw the ball.
Maybe he can't look at 5 people at once. Second of all, and I'll say this is the toughest thing about being quarterback, getting the ball off on someone when someone's open. When they get open, it doesn't always mean your feet can be set at the same time that they're open. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, but Russell can do that.
I know, but what I'm saying is that if you step back and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then throw it, almost every quarterback can do that. If you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go right 2 steps, left 1 step, back, and then at that point when you're backing up, it's like, let's say he drops the ball and then the guy gets open. He can't throw the ball. It's just sometimes it's bad timing on it. I'll give him that. Other times,
I'm not even saying he needed to throw the ball. I'm saying after 5 seconds, there's no point in you still holding that football. Because the offensive line is just going to give up after a while. Somebody's going to slip through. If you don't want to just throw it away, as athletic as he is, at that 5 second mark, he had so much room in front of him to just start stepping forward and go ahead and get maybe an extra 5 yards instead of taking a sack of 1 or 2 because he finally decided to run after 8 seconds. I'm just saying, if nobody was open and your mental clock hits you at about 5 seconds, or you start to feel like I would have just moved. I would have stopped holding on to the ball.
What happened to Doug Baldwin? He break his leg or something? He out for the year?
No, he's done. Yeah. Doug Baldwin is done. Because he has a life-threatening injury.
Yeah,
he had something with his neck or something.
Yeah, he had something happen to him. Yeah, that's why I was at. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, no, he's not playing again, unfortunately.
All right, we'll give her quick picks across the board real quick for NFL before we get into everything else real quick. Andre, Packers in San Francisco next weekend.
Santa Clara.
I'm going to go ahead and go with discount double check.
On the road, Andre picks the Packers.
Oh, no, hold on. Let me think about this.
That's my deal breaker right there.
Yeah, I'm going to stick. I don't know if I want to go with Aaron Rodgers and his ability to do whatever he want to do versus that defense in San Francisco.
49ers favored by 7 at home. Ooh. Tickets are only $357.
Definitely not like that line.
I don't either.
I'm going
definitely
with Packers.
Don't like that
San Francisco.
Line.
I'm going Packers.
I'm taking the 49ers.
I'm going to go with 49ers just because they're at home.
Do they cover 49ers, guys?
No.
No way.
All right.
No way.
Titans and Chiefs.
Titans.
Kansas City.
I'm going to pick the Titans.
Chiefs.
I'm going to tell you why.
Chiefs favored by 7.5.
The only reason I'm picking Titans is because I'm that old school. That Chiefs being at home scares me.
Because I'm pretty sure it's going to be warmer in San Francisco, too. That's why I picked my Packers.
It's supposed to be. It doesn't say yet. It doesn't say the temperature.
That high-scoring offense scares me, though. And it scares me.
I'm telling you that blink of an eye, they can put 7 on the board.
I'm gonna go with Titans because they got the momentum. That's why I'm thinking the Titans are the 10-6 Giants from back in the day.
I want the Titans to win so I can sit here and laugh that Ryan Tannehill has the same number of playoff wins as Cam Newton.
I'm taking the Titans because I think they're
in 1 year, in one season,
same as the Giants were in that 2007.
But I think it's going to be Chiefs and 49. I think it's going to. I put it this way. I think the NFL is going to make it Chiefs and Packers. I think if the 49ers make it, they're going to beat the Chiefs in defense.
I do too.
But the Chiefs look to me like the favorite to win it all. So I'm not, and I want the Titans to win it of all 4 teams.
Right.
So I just made a case for all 4 teams and don't feel like picking any of them. Just letting you guys know.
I agree.
That's how it should be. It should be like that, though. Yeah. All 40 teams should have a.
And what we need to do, my son's 7. We need to get. Too bad he wasn't here to say, Judah, which one of them you want to pick? And
that's what we do with JP. We make him pick on the weekends. Yeah. He's just as good as a 7-year-old.
You know.
We can call somebody.
Yeah, we can call somebody. You call Zai at school and ask him to pick.
Hey, who do you think gonna win?
All right, guys, that's our NFL news and coverage. The Sunday 3 o'clock and 6:40 are the games, and we're gonna move over into college football championship in just a second. However, since Zach is here, Zach, we got segments on the show. We do some fun things. I know you might have heard one or two starting lineup or
missed
something like that.
Was that the figures?
We did the what are you talking about? We did a starting line. We did the
okay, so that wasn't starting line. I seen it put on there, and I tried to go through to find out if you was doing a starting lineup figures. No. Okay,
that was the sponsor of the show. I've got them in here, and that was going to be our feature. So we've done a Braves, Mount Rushmore.
Seen that one.
We've done. Who else have we done Mount Rushmore? We've done Tar Heels football. We didn't do Tar Heels basketball Mount Rushmore, but we did starting lineups for Hornets.
Yep.
And we did starting lineups
for Hornets
and Tar Heels.
And UNC.
Now, the main thing I want to get Zach to, now we can do another one if we want to. We can do Panthers if we want. No. But the main one I want Zach to do with is the wrestling.
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore. Now, Zach, I'm going to write mine down.
I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Now, remember, we've built another mountain here at KTC. Mm-hmm. It's called Mount Pass Less.
What is it?
Mount Pass Less.
Pass.
Right. Mount Pass
dealing
Less.
with what?
Mount Rushmore is the 4 best ones.
Right.
Mount Pass Less
is the worst.
Is the second 4.
Oh, okay.
The B team. The JV team. We don't want to call it Mount JV.
Mount JV.
So I'm going Mount Payless.
I did one time, though, ask him what would be the worst. You know, like they were doing the best starting lineup for the Hornets. I was like, well, what would be the worst? Okay, what's the Mount not Rushmore?
The worst starting lineup for the Hornets would be MKG, Gerald Wallace, Primo Breezak, and Mozgov. Because I can beat them all at horse. If I can beat you at horse, you're going on the losers mountain. All right, Zach, Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Mm-hmm. I've got my 4. Mm-hmm. I think those 4 probably, there may be one you could argue with. Mm-hmm. But I don't know who I would put in that 4th spot if we do move him.
Right.
So, I'm going to name my 4. You thinking about it right now, right?
I've got 4 in my head.
I'm going to name the 4 that I think. Now, this is the greatest wrestlers of all. Not, he's the most popular. He was the best wrestler. He did this. The 4 most popular, greatest. If you're thinking wrestling, these are the 4 I'm thinking about more than anything.
Right.
It's going to be, some of the youth folks aren't going to be in it, but
right.
I've got to put them down further down the line.
I need a pen. You're good.
Ric Flair.
Yep. That's definitely there.
Hulk Hogan.
Yep. Definitely there.
All right. So there's your 2 that I think people are going to put.
And we're going to have another 4 after that, you said?
Yeah, we're going to do the second 4.
And that's still good. That's not like crappy wrestlers,
no, that's the next 4 best wrestlers. The honorable mentions.
Okay.
These 2 I think people can argue with, but I think Zach won't. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. Number 3 on the list, Andre the Giant. Is that a yes on Mount Rushmore?
He's on the first 2.
He's in one of the mountains.
Absolutely. Because okay. I've got 4, but the 8 I could put on easy. Put on 4 would be tough.
My 4th one on Mount Rushmore is The Undertaker.
He might be top 2.
Okay. That's the one I was worried that people might take off.
No way.
Okay.
It's not possible.
But on all these, this stuff's scripted, right?
Okay, yes, it's scripted.
So if I come in tonight to work and they say I'm supposed to win tonight, and they say tomorrow I'm gonna win again, and then win again, and then win again.
Winning and losing is scripted. Getting over with the fans is not. And for Taker to get that gimmick from Vince McMahon, you give it to anybody else, he would have been like Ron Simmons when he got the. They brought him out as the.
So they saw
it. They just messed Ron Simmons all up. Put the blue helmet on his head.
So they just selling magic beans to the whole crowd.
Taker took that and he made it. Nobody else could have made that. And when
Andre don't think NASCAR is a sport either. So you can just.
That's debatable.
You can get his poo.
That's debatable. I like.
It's very debatable.
NASCAR,
I agree.
I'm 50-50. I would take that to my grave. It's debatable.
NASCAR drivers do more and have more physical things happen to them in their game than almost any other sport. Football might be the only thing you could argue. All right.
I'm going down with my people now.
All right, Zach. I'm gonna say pay less. Let's do the pass less. Let's do the second mountain.
Okay. I'm trying to get my 8, so I want to get my 8 down.
What you put?
Kyle Sanderson.
Carl Sanderson.
Oh, Kyle.
Who's that?
NCAA.
Oh, that's your greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
Oh, you're taking real wrestling. Yo, you're taking real wrestling.
Well, Hunter, I know, is on his top 4 is going to have the dude from Bandy's.
Braun.
Right.
Braun.
Can't forget this one. And some of this is going to go into personal.
Right.
Opinion.
Now, Zach, my next 4. See what you. All right. Then I'm going to let you, after I say mine, you say your piece. You know more about it than I do for the most part. My next 4.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock. Stone Cold. Sting. And Goldberg. Who am I missing off my 2 mountains?
Dusty Rhodes.
I wouldn't have him on there.
I
understand what you're saying, but
just because
I think some of the newer guys have surpassed him, like Rock, Austin, and all that.
Drawing. I understand all that, but he was like a mastermind. That's why we have war games. Some of the stuff that he came up with, I'm putting him on there based on his thinking mentality on building.
Mm-hmm.
He was the booker.
Who's going to be your 4th one on the main one?
The main one
besides Andre. Who was the
I had Flair, Hogan, Taker, and Andre and Stone Cold could go either way with me because Stone Cold was so big on his drawing power. I kind of
want a Stone Cold stunner right now?
right. But I would throw him down a little bit because of his stunning Steve era when he was just not the draw. That got to hurt him.
The
Stunning Steve Austin with the Hollywood Blondes back with Brian Pillman.
Him and Mr. Perfect.
My 4 on the other side would be Dusty Rhodes. And I would put The Rock on there. Drawing power was amazing. I'd put Stone Cold, and I would put Sting up there. I think Sting lost a lot of what he could have been if he would have went to WWE.
So you've got basically we got the same 7 of 8, except you've got
I've got Dusty in.
Dusty
you had
instead
somebody
of Goldberg.
Goldberg. I wouldn't put Goldberg
and
above
I'm not
Dusty.
even a big fan of Goldberg. I just put him in because I've seen a lot of lists lately that everyone have him listed on there.
You can't not use him because of what he brought. Horrible wrestler.
That's what I'm saying.
Not safe with everybody.
I had 3 on mine out of your 4.
Who'd you have?
I had
8 total.
I had Ric Flair, Stone Cold. Oh, I didn't do the B team. I just did the first one. Ric Flair, Stone Cold, Undertaker, and then I'd put Triple H.
And you talk about the Andre thing. The younger generation ain't gonna understand that. Andre did not lose. Did we understand that until he lost to Hulk Hogan? Does everybody know that? In WrestleMania 3, he had never lost. Until he lost to Hogan. But I mean, he's laughing because he knows this. But in real life, who's gonna? There's a story
who would
about
have beat him in real life.
Who would have beat him? There's a story that goes out, and there's multiple stories about Andre, but there's one story that goes out that said that Black Jack Mulligan, which is Barry Windham's father, and who's the guy that's wrestling today, that Bray Wyatt's grandfather. He's a big guy, and another guy that was with him back in the day that was one of those redneck style guys. They were big guys, and they made Andre mad. He palmed both their heads and took them out and about drowned them in the beach. They couldn't do anything with him.
My favorites is the ones where he'll drink a case of beer on the way to a show.
Yeah, and
not like, folks. I said a case.
Yes,
not a 6-pack. The limo drivers would talk about picking him up. He would have a case of beer set down, and by the time they got to the arena, done.
Hogan in his book said
he would just.
Hogan said he saw him drink 107 and never stumble. Said that he was his. He would call him boss. He called Hogan boss. He wasn't. He was just what he called him. He would sit in front of him, and he said when he wanted to have a bathroom break, he'd hit Hogan up the backside of the head on the bus and tell him, "Okay, boss, bathroom break," and Hogan have to go up there and tell him what to do. So Hogan was scared to death to do that WrestleMania match with him because you didn't know if Andre was going to lay down for you or not. He'd never done it. And, he did it. He did it.
Actually, he wasn't drunk, Andre. Those are like waters to him. Think about him, dude. He
was hydrated.
That's why he
was fully hydrated.
In Hogan's autobiography,
well, he couldn't drive a car. He was huge.
He said he was miserable his whole life. He said anywhere he would go, especially Japan, everything was smaller over there. He said he was miserable. He said, but he loved French food because Andre, I believe, was French.
He was French. Yeah, he's from France.
And he said they would go to a restaurant. He'd order one of everything on the menu, and they'd sit there for 8 hours until he finished it.
Well, that's the problem right there. Everybody gonna sit there and stare at you.
Andre, 7'4", 520.
And order everything off the menu.
7'4".
I'm gonna peek around the corner and see who ordered it.
520. And then when you do, you're gonna be like, all right, he can have whatever he wants.
So
7'4", 520.
And to go back, I know you mentioned that. To go back to Undertaker, there would be on some list. I think some people would put him at 1.
Where do you put? How much of it? None of us mentioned, and I thought about it on the second, folks. Is the Macho Man?
I love Macho Man
because when you talk draw, you have to talk him.
I love Macho Man, and you know the reason I didn't put him on there, and the second guy that I love is Ricky Steamboat, because he was a great wrestler. He just did not draw as much. Macho Man's at least top 15 because then you start throwing in some great tag teams.
How about one of the most underrated? I got one for you, Zach. The Great Muta.
Great Muta. Personally, in my opinion, he still owns a wrestling promotion overseas. Personally, he's one of my favorites because of the stuff he did with Sting and the Green.
So you guys have seen Longest Yard, right? Yeah. You know the Great Khali's in that movie,
right?
The big man. He's 7'1", 350.
Yeah. Andre would have dwarfed
Andre is 7'4", 540. Yeah. He's way bigger than that dude. Then the Longest Yard, the ping pong guy, you folks were watching, was the one playing ping pong with Adam Sandler, and he about beat himself looking at him. Is 7'1", 347, and Andre's got 200 pounds and 3 inches on him.
I agree. And then with Sting, you throw Sting up there, but Sting kind of lost some stuff for just staying in WCW his whole life, I think.
Is that fair to him? Is he not all around better than most of them?
Like if you took this list,
like can Hogan get on the top ropes and do the stuff Sting can?
No, Flair has said this multiple times. Flair said if Sting would have went to WWF, nobody even remember Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
But Flair says all kind of crazy stuff.
Well, Hogan was about done by the time he went
Hogan,
back to WWF.
They had a steroid controversy, and he got through under the bus in the steroid controversy, and then he slimmed down. He did Thunder in Paradise TV shows, and then they paid him humongous money.
So you can't do steroids in wrestling?
At that time, the federal government was coming down on them. They were doing them massively, and they got in some major trouble, and Vince McMahon threw them under the bus.
Jump off a ladder.
Government.
I will look at Sting.
There was no rule that they couldn't take steroids. The rule was that it was a federal law that you're not supposed to have them.
And they started sniffing around a little bit with them.
Oh, there was you shouldn't take them, buddy.
I mean, you could go watch some of these guys that would come here, Barbarian and Warlord. Warlord and I mean, they were just swole. I mean, but I would say Sting.
Lex Luger
is not liked at all by a lot of the wrestling insiders. Right. I liked Lex. If I was going to pick off this list, my 2 favorites, Flair and Sting, and then Taker's third on personal favorites. Now, if you would go tag team stuff, I love Rock and Roll Express, and I still do.
Sting's my favorite. Rock's my favorite on the mic. It's kind of hard to disagree with that one, I would think. A lot of them are pretty good on the mic. Rock's just awesome on the mic.
And he'll tell you he learned a lot from Dusty with that, because Dusty was the polka dot Dusty when Rock was young.
All right, national championship game. Had a little fun of Zach in our wrestling Mount Rushmore. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see what he thought about that. I thought we would have close to the same 4. I had Andre the Giant. He had maybe Stone Cold instead.
I had Andre still on 1.
Oh, you had
the one that we did was Dusty and Goldberg.
So you're leaving. So
no,
this was my top 4.
Flair, Hogan, Taker, Andre. Okay.
So we do have the same top 4, and then you're going Rhodes instead of Goldberg on the next 3. So we got the same thing except Rhodes and Goldberg. All right. I probably, if I was going to take Goldberg off, I honestly would probably put Macho Man there instead of Dusty.
I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that. I'm putting Dusty in because of his creative ideas. That's the only reason I did that.
All right. National championship game.
Yep.
Clemson.
Yep.
Versus LSU. Before we start, I'm going to go ahead and get the joke out of the way. I'm picking the Tigers. Now, what the rest of y'all do is up to y'all. One, in college and NFL, they pick their champions different. If the NFL was like college, Tennessee wouldn't be playing this weekend. Is this the two top teams in the league, 2 top quarterbacks as well, which we almost never have in college football, is the actual best quarterbacks actually playing each other?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I think they are. As of right now, yes. I know they don't both come out at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence has to stay one more year. Joe Burrow is eligible to come out after this year.
He's gone.
I don't see why he wouldn't go. Everybody's screaming #1 pick, but what I was getting at with those two, if they both could come out at the same time, absolutely, they would be fighting for the #1 spot. I think Trevor Lawrence would be over him just by a hair, but as of right now, the blazing hot arm in college football is Joe Burrow, and he's the hot topic and the hot commodity coming out. So I think it would be a fight for the #1 overall pick.
Who does have the #1 overall pick this year?
This is Cincinnati.
The Bengals.
Well, they definitely needed. They got the. It's funny that Andy Dalton, I think, come out the same as Cam.
You don't want me to get in on that one.
No, we don't have. We don't have time.
But
we don't have time.
He's got more wins than Cam.
Overall,
he had 5 winning seasons. Cam had 3. Same draft. Y'all could have had Von Miller and Andy Dalton.
I'd love to have Von Miller.
What about Von Miller on the defense with Kuechly there?
I love Von Miller.
All right, so Clemson is favored. I mean, LSU's favored by 5.5.
Yes.
Andre, you got any comments on that or feelings on that? I mean, we got some local players here on the Clemson Tigers team. We got some Chris Chargers out there.
Yeah, all them local players. I wish y'all luck, but I'm going with LSU.
LSU doesn't care about the local players.
Yep, I don't either. I mean, it's great that you made it this far. It's great that you were able to play at the college level, but as of right now, LSU is the better team. The problem is, I don't like the 5.5-point line. I can see this game being a lot like the Clemson-Ohio State game, just not where Clemson makes the comeback. I just could see it ending close. I could see it being a 3-point, anywhere between a 1 to a 3-point game. I don't necessarily see this being a blowout just because Clemson, for as much flack as I've given them this year for not playing anybody, they still have Dabo Swinney as their head coach.
I'll go back to the Carolina game with Clemson, and that scares the devil out of me. So I'm thinking LSU's going to be a 2-touchdown winner.
2-touchdown. Matchup predictor.
I would love it. I'd love it if LSU came out and won by a touchdown.
And I want Clemson to win. I will say that.
Clemson, the matchup predictor, ESPN matchup predictor is 56% for Clemson.
Wow. And now how do they do that? Did we know?
I don't know.
I was wondering if it was fans. Is what I was wondering. If
matchup predictor, they may have. According to ESPN's Football Power Index. Do you know what that means?
No idea.
I don't need it.
It's some sort of algorithm they have. Here's the thing.
Probably like war.
It's an
points per game. LSU's getting 49, giving up 21. Clemson's getting 45, giving up 10.
That's the competition goes into that though.
Don't look at that at all. Clemson has played ACC opponents. LSU has played SEC opponents and some of the best teams in the Big 12.
Now I didn't think Clemson would get past Ohio State, so throw that out too.
LSU gave up 28 points to Oklahoma.
That's Oklahoma
28 points.
They did give up 28 points.
Clemson won with 29 in the last game.
And looking on this Mississippi game,
LSU scored 63.
Shut up, Hunter. Deshaun Watson would have beat 6 teams this weekend.
Joe Burrow himself.
He beat the one that's
Joe Burrow
Burrow throw 7 in the first half?
Yeah, 7 in the first half.
And then you go into the draft with that. You got to run the quarterback half, and then you got the passing quarterback too. So.
Well, Lawrence won't come out until next year. With that said, Andre, if you're Trevor Lawrence, would you play college football next year?
No.
I agree.
I wouldn't either.
I agree 100%. It even goes back to the Tua thing. I agree with him.
I never forgo my whole my whole 4 years.
It's not like the Tim
Duncan
era.
If they told you right now, you like that, like right now, Trevor Lawrence, you're gonna be #1 pick next year, whether you play a game or not. Would you go out there and play 12 football games at quarterback.
Not unless Dabo say they allow me to get paid next year.
That's not gonna happen.
You're not gonna pay me in college.
I agree.
If Dabo's gonna break off half at $9 million a year,
that has been a topic of conversation.
Yeah,
is if Trevor Lawrence should even attempt to play college football next year if they win. Now, if they lose and he just wants to try and get Clemson back to win a national
he's already
championship,
got one, don't he?
That's
right?
on him. Yeah, and right now I think he's 20. He's 20 something and 0, 26 and 0. Like he hasn't lost at all.
I think Washington's got the second pick.
They do.
So
we got the second pick.
That would throw in. I don't think he would go one over Burrow.
No, he can't go this year.
I mean, if he can't go at all, he can't even declare.
No,
so he's a sophomore.
So what I'm saying is that next year,
I understand.
He can declare,
that's tough.
But he's already going to be the number one pick.
That's
should
tough.
he even play a game next year? Like, why would you not? Honestly, like you're supposed to be getting prepared in your life for your future job. If he wants to play in the NFL, they're already telling you you're going to be the number one pick. Wouldn't it be better to just hire an agent and throw?
Joe Burrow, 5,208 yards, 55 touchdowns, college. So that would be tough if he could, if Lawrence could even come out this year.
I don't think he would.
I don't think he could get the nod over
and I don't even know
Joe
if he'd
Burrow.
get number 2 because Chase Young.
That's exactly, yeah, and I think Washington's taking Chase Young regardless. If I'm Trevor Lawrence, you know what? I think about sitting out. I think about it. Clowney played the year everybody was talking about. Maybe he should sit out. And
Did he get hurt?
Went number 1. No,
He didn't get hurt that year.
He did not get hurt. But
You're
playing with fire.
The difference between Clowney and the quarterback is the quarterback is standing still with 11 people trying to hurt him.
Yeah.
Not just hit him. They're trying to hurt him. They are.
We're just trying to hug him.
Now, when Clowney's out there, only one or two guys are trying to hit or hurt Clowney.
Right.
So there's the position thing is different. The running backs, if I was a running back, I'd almost play. I'd go to college for 2 years, get my 2-year associate degree, and then work out.
I'm trying to figure out how tall Trevor Lawrence actually was.
He's 6'6".
Think about it, if you was a running back. Let's think about this. You're in high school, and instead of like say Claret or whoever wasting 200 or 300 carries a year on them, Ezekiel Elliott, 300 carries in a college, wouldn't it be better for Zeke? Well, not necessarily. He was drafted 4th. To not play your senior season, take steroids for 6 months, pump it up, work out, and then get off the steroids, and then go to the NFL draft.
No.
Nobody takes that advice, Zach. But wouldn't that be the best for your job?
You talking about major money? If you get hurt, I'm not playing.
It's so much money.
There's a lot.
It's
of
a
money.
big difference between 1 and 2.
Who was drafted this year?
Bosa
1.
No.
Was Bosa not 1?
No.
Who went 1? Quarterback.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray went 1. Bosa went 2.
1.
Then Daniel for the Giants.
He went
like
6.
Fifth.
He went 6.
We were talking about the money. The reason Murray was leaning towards NFL now instead of baseball
It was
It's
$20 million difference.
You get 20. He got $23 million signing bonus
He was probably getting $1 million signing bonus for baseball.
in baseball. And here's what happens in baseball: once you sign with that team, they control you for 8 years, pretty much. Like Pujols did not get paid until his about 8th year. It's insane, the baseball arbitration. So what he can do, and he's smart and he did it. He can play football for 4 or 5 years, make $100 million, and if he sucks at football, then go play baseball, and then they can control his contract. But he's already got his money. So that's kind of what I'm getting at with the Lawrence and these running backs. Like, come out, get your money. And if you want to go back to school, you can afford to pay for community college.
One thing I did like
wherever you go.
The NFL has done is they have drawn back some of their payouts on the first-year guys. Though they have
They did that because of how many guys would just go broke.
Yeah.
They would get all that money, not know what to do with it, and just go broke.
Man, Sam Bradford got $100-something million, and
he's horrible.
trying to save that. So he's only got 4 years, $35 million, or option for a fifth.
So yeah, I can see that.
It's gonna be. I think this is gonna be a really good game. Again, whichever Tiger you win, if you just say or Tiger you pick, your Tiger's gonna come out in the end. But to me, I think it's gonna be the boys in gold and yellow or gold and purple.
Andre, you like any college football teams?
Oh yeah. I watch a lot of college football. I'm still a Tar Heel fan.
We should be coming around in a couple years, hopefully, if we can get some drafting in.
I love all levels of football. I got a favorite.
Yeah,
I know. We know Kevin's is the App State, and they have done very well in Division I. Very well. So,
hey, Appalachian State, Zach, has won the same number of SEC championships as 8 of the SEC teams since 1979. Think about that. 8 of the 14 SEC teams have not won a championship since 1979. Neither has App. So App belongs in the SEC.
That's the analytic stuff. You can just twist it however you want.
I know, it's fun, ain't it? Like, watch this. Right. True, false. Zach, you ready?
Cam didn't do it.
If Chaz Surratt and Sage Surratt were the Tar Heels point guard and shooting guard, they would win the same number of national championships this year. True, false. If the Surratts were point guard and shooting guard,
right,
Carolina would win the same number of national championships this year as they are going to.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out what. Yeah, I was gauging the question in my head. Yeah. We're horrible this year.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad. Just bad.
Don't know how much better we'd be with Cole Anthony either.
I mean, obviously not too much. Roy said this is the worst team he's ever had, and he don't blame himself.
We got
who else is he supposed to blame? He said he did say fire me, which I agree with.
He blamed himself. He blamed himself with the loss to Clemson.
Right.
He said, "I let the team down." Like, well, you've been letting a bunch of fans down this year too.
We have a lot of wing players that can't shoot.
Yeah, we got some weak
Tar Heels
forwards and centers.
Tar Heels have
weak.
Tar Heels have the same roster the Hornets do. It's just they're not getting paid.
Exactly right.
I mean, they do.
I hung my head going into church because one of the guys that's in my Sunday school class is a huge Clemson fan, only on football side, but he was grinning.
Only on the football side.
Carl Bean, my buddy Carl. I told him, I said, I hope y'all get beat by like 40 today.
Well, Zach, do you got any real quick comments on Hunter's Braves Mount Rushmore?
Refresh me again. I know Chipper was on there, and it was the coach, Bobby Cox.
Well, that was our question. I had Hank Aaron, Greg Maddux, and Chipper, and Andrew was my other one. But I asked, do you put the coach on there or not? And that was the question.
I think
Bobby
that's
Cox go or not?
Debatable with what he did. You want to put him on there? It's kind of like my Dusty pick for what he put into it. If not,
if it's just players,
is
anyone over players, Andrew Jones?
I love John Smoltz.
I love John
in the 4th
Smoltz.
spot.
John Smoltz is my favorite Braves pitcher of all time.
And you know what? I love Glavine. They had a awesome pitching thing. You can't throw Chipper off.
They had a great.
I like
Andrew
Jones. I don't think Andrew Jones had enough longevity to put him on there. That's my opinion.
He won a bunch of Gold Gloves.
He did. He was really good. And I would never put him on there. I would like David Justin. I like Ron Gant. But Andrew's on there. Hank Aaron's on there. Dale Murphy. 87, 86 time.
Hey,
I mean,
Terry Pendleton won the MVP.
I know. The year after he came from the Cardinals, was a hitting machine. I love Terry Pendleton.
I'm telling you, it's tough if you have to keep Bobby. If you have to keep Bobby on there. But
I wouldn't keep Bobby.
I think it's easy if you keep Bobby because then it's Hank Maddux and Chipper.
The only reason I wouldn't keep Bobby on there is because it was
three I had.
It was because of he's a coach. That's the only reason I wouldn't.
So if we just said no coach,
I would put Smoltz on there.
John Smoltz.
I'm not
upset with it. Because
I like him.
Mine were I had Andrew Jones questioning on there too.
Yeah, so. I watched the episode, and Hank Aaron is not coming off.
Hank's not coming off.
Chipper's not coming off.
Maddux is not coming off.
Coming off.
Those
so
are three staples.
2 other people, and the 2 I would put in conjunction would
really
be
only one.
Smoltz and then Glavine. We should have never won just one championship.
Shouldn't have.
If Maddux wouldn't be drafted today
because the analytics guys.
Because you got the K zone.
Yeah.
You can't give him 6 inches off the plate because it's on every pitch is on TV now in a K zone.
Right.
And he's only throwing 95 or 90 to 95, 93.
Yeah. He's
and now you got to throw 95 to 100 to get on the mound, and you have to throw strikes in the K zone. So I'm not sure.
Now, Smoltz
you can make the argument that Smoltz could be on there, but instead of
Smoltz would because Smoltz threw that fastball.
Because of that reason right there.
There's a reason why they have Smoltz on TV. They like to hear him because he's smart.
I like Smoltz. I actually like Smoltz better than I do Maddux.
Yeah.
I think Maddux brung better. I think he won more just because of that.
All right, so Andre went LSU. LSU across the board. Anybody picking Clemson?
I can't pick Clemson.
I'll pick them then.
Take him.
I did take them this Saturday, actually. because everyone else is picking LSU too. I like picking against the grain here because I don't know that much.
Just because if we're wrong, then he's right.
Right, exactly. I picked it Clemson 41-35 in overtime. JP picked Clemson 21-11.
You know something? It's always going to be a high scoring in college. You have to go back and look at some of the old stats to see a low scoring.
Yeah, I wouldn't assume a low. I mean, would y'all at all? I mean,
just don't see how you can. Not with the way that everything's called today. You just don't have low scoring games anymore.
Right.
For the most part, it's amazing that we had a low scoring NFL Super Bowl last year.
Zach, true or false? If Chaz Surratt was the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, they would have the same number of Super Bowls now than they do now.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Hey, I love true false.
We'll put him in Kuechly's spot on the linebacker.
I love true false. But now the other day I asked if Jawan, if he was the quarterback for who?
Carolina.
The Panthers, would they still have the same record? He said no because he can throw it. They had 1-1. I don't know if you heard that one or not.
I did not hear that one.
That wasn't the answer I was expecting.
Sometimes when I listen, I'll be riding into work and it'll be like an hour. I don't get to hear the 2.5 sometimes. That's why I was asking you about the starting lineup question.
No.
All right, Zach, while you're sitting here, will Cam be the Panthers quarterback next season? Not what you think, what you want.
What I want
what do you think that David Tepper and the new ownership is going to do?
I think they'll trade him. That's what I want, and that's what I think, because his value. If he comes out and he's hurt again, you're not getting nothing for him. If you trade him now, you're going to get draft picks. And this guy, I think when somebody comes in, Tepper and the new coach, I don't care if it's Cam or anybody else, unless you got Tom Brady, Joe Montana, they're not changed. They want their people in. They want their style in. And I don't know if we're gonna. I don't even know what Baylor ran. What kind of style we're gonna run.
So you're one of the first Panther fans that I've heard say exactly what I've been saying, is that with the money, what Cam's worth right now, you have a new owner, a new coach.
Right.
None of those are married to Cam.
Right.
Does Matt Rule want to put his first NFL job on the line over Cam Newton's health?
Right, because he's got a foot injury.
Right. So does Rule say, basically Rule has to say, you know what, I'm going to give this guy 2 years. Either he's got to, don't he have to be like in love with him to say, I want this job and I want Cam Newton to be on quarterback?
It would have to be what I said, John Elway.
The signs that scare me with why they are going to get rid of him and why they're not going to deal with him is that they haven't said they're keeping him yet.
Right.
Wouldn't that have been like the first couple things that Matt Rule would say? I love Cam Newton. We're keeping him. He's the MVP. We're going on. We're moving on. They would have said that if they're keeping him. Like what you just said. If they trade him, right now is the most value they'll ever get.
And that's why I want to do it.
Because if he plays well, you're going to keep him. You're not going to trade him. If he plays bad, then you lose all your value.
Yep. And I think it's time with everything they did. Who would ever said they would got rid of Ron Rivera when they got rid of Ron Rivera?
Right.
Because he was well beloved, and this guy that came in is wanting to start his own.
You have to think about that on everything you think about. What you're just saying right there, Zach. It's his own thing.
Yeah.
It's Tepper's money. Cam's not Tepper's quarterback. Ron Rivera wasn't Tepper's coach. He moved on. He moved on during the season from Ron. So does that tell you that?
Right.
They're ready to move on?
A little disrespectful, way to go, even with McCarthy. But and one thing I will say too, not even to throw with Cam, I wish they'd move on from Marty Herney.
That's the big thing a lot of Panther fans are saying is that why does Marty Herney still have his job? Now, Andre, we'll switch over to that. Who is the Bucs quarterback next year? Who is it, and who do you want it to be? Let me ask you both of them.
I really don't have an answer for you for that.
Either one of them.
I'll say, but I could deal with Jameis again.
Who do you want? Like, if you had a choice of all the people that might be available, you got Brady, Phillip Rivers.
Who is the free agent quarterback?
Who else is going to be available, Hunter?
Would you rather have? Yeah, I probably already know this. Would you rather have Jameis Winston or Cam?
I don't have no problem with Jameis.
Right.
If we can get him down about 10 interceptions.
Well, that's 10 problems. That's 20 problems. He threw 30.
That's all we need. If we can just get him down just 10, he gives us a chance to win. That interception problem, that's a terrible. I think he just wanted to set a record. You gotta say, regardless, your name gonna be in the book.
We could always get an awesome soundbite out of Andre every day. It's gonna be great.
Record.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm gonna keep that.
Everybody want the name in the book though.
So
for something.
So we got Redskin, Bucks,
right?
Cleveland, Panther.
And
me and him was Dallas fans back in the day, but we just give up on those guys.
The Browns are the only one of those teams that knows who their quarterback will be next year.
No, we know who our quarterback's going to be.
You think?
It's Dwayne.
What about bad all the teams at this table right now? My team looks best, though.
Where is Teddy Bridgewater going to be? Your quarterback threw 30 interceptions.
I like your coach.
He led the league in passing.
I like your coach. I will say that. I like your coach.
I like our
What about
coach.
Teddy Bridgewater?
Teddy Bridgewater's going
He's
to
be
in
available.
Chicago.
Phillip Rivers is going to be available. Does Eli move on?
No.
Where does Jameis go? Does Tannehill resign? I thought they gave him an extension.
Yeah.
I thought they gave him an extension.
So who all's on it? Jameis is he a free agent? I don't think.
Yeah,
he'll be
Jameis is a free agent.
He will not. I just don't believe they'll. I don't know.
Jameis,
Bruce Arians seem to like him.
All these guys are free agents.
All they got to do with Jameis
Brady,
is give him a
Prescott,
franchise.
Dak's going to be in there. Now, somebody had rumored that Brady was going to be in Cowboys.
That's what Terrell Owens is pushing for that.
You think Brady can do 2 more years?
Ryan Tannehill has thrown for 78 and 88 yards, Zach, and won 2 playoff games.
No,
he beat the MVP and Tom Brady with 78 and 88 yards. Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl. You can always put any quarterback in there as long as they don't turn it over.
I want to see the Cowboys. They have amazing talent. I want to see them with somebody that can run the football team. I'll say that.
I'm just reading about the future of the NFL right here.
No.
Huh? There it is. The future best quarterback in the NFL. Tom Flacco led the national team to a 35-7 victory over the American team.
He only threw for 173 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He went to Townsend University. Y'all ever heard of that? Now remember, Joe went to Delaware.
Was that his son or something?
That's his brother.
Wow, he must be 20 years
older.
That's a
lot of years apart, is it not?
Yeah,
I'm starting to think about that. How many years are those apart?
Flacco come out in what, 08?
He played against Armani in 2003.
Wow.
Or 2.
I didn't think Armani was that long ago.
Either 2002 or 3. It's been 15 years since Flacco. Now he's got a brother coming in the NFL. That's a long time between births, right?
Mm.
All right. Any other thoughts and things we got to do today? Cover anything else? We've covered NFL playoffs. We covered college football.
We talked a little NBA at the beginning.
A little NBA Hornets at the beginning. We also went over we had Zach confirm the Braves, Mount Rushmore. He gave us the wrestling Mount Rushmore. You want to make a comment on either the Hornets or Tar Heels starting lineups?
Bad.
Man, I know I was watching y'all do the Hornets one, and I know Andre made his picks, and then he had left out Glenn Rice. I remember that. He put him back on real quick. So and not to even knock that, because I had forgot about Glenn Rice when I was writing mine down.
The GOAT.
And I would agree with what Kevin had said about Kendall Gill, but I will bring up Baron Davis. Like, I agree with him. Super dynamic player. Well likable guy on the court, the way he played. I like that. I like Baron Davis. Tar Heels, you can Mount Rushmore that all day long. If anybody you want to put, I loved Stackhouse and Rasheed. That was still my favorites. I wasn't the greatest big fans of Jameson and help me out here.
Carter.
Yes. No, I loved Carter. Jameson, I wasn't the biggest fan of Jameson's. But I did like Stackhouse and Rasheed. And we got to go everywhere when we were kids. We actually got to see Stackhouse play in high school for Oak Hill. And
against Ashbrook.
Yeah, and Roderick Howard went off.
The Ashbrook player had 50 points.
Yeah,
on
he went off. He just went off. And they still got beat by 50. He still got beat by 50.
He played at UNCC. They had Mactar Jai was on that team.
Jai was on it, and there was a white guy that went to UNLV.
Wasn't Rusty LaRue on that team, was he?
Might have been.
That went to Wake Forest. There was a bunch of people on that team. I've got it. Jeff McGinnis was on the team. That's the other one. McGinnis and Stackhouse were on the same high school team.
Yeah.
And then came to the Tar Heels.
Yeah, and it was ridiculous.
Then Jeff McGinnis met Phil
at the
Ford
time that we went and watched that game. We thought Stackhouse was going to UNLV.
Yeah, thought they were coming back. All right, Andre, you got any other thoughts on this weekend?
whatsoever.
Anything that happened. Hunter, we'll be back Wednesday.
Yep.
Shock Jock podcast back on Wednesday, January 15th. All right, folks. Zach's got the week off.
I do work Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I don't go back until the next Thursday.
Okay,
so I might be able to hook up.
He might come back Friday. I think we'll go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. For
I'll be at the beach on Friday. I'm taking my son out, but maybe Monday when we come back.
Oh, get up.
I might do that.
Might see Zach next week. We'll talk. We'll be talking Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Next Monday. We'll be breaking down the Pro Bowl next Monday.
Wow.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
That's horrible.
That might be a basketball.
I'm going to be breaking down Townsend College's quarterback here. I'm excited about this. I'm pumped, Hunter. That could be the next Browns quarterback.
Don't do nothing.
Joe Flacco's the GOAT. All right, folks. For Andre Bush and Hunter Yancey and Zach May. I turned myself off, didn't I? I can still hear myself though. That's what that button right there was doing for me. Folks, had a good day at the broadcast. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Shock Joxx. You can pick us up on all the podcast platforms. Watch us on YouTube and Facebook as well. We'll see you guys Wednesday, January 15th on KTC Broadcast.